Welcome to RNS Podcast. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Evan.
Evan, guess what we're doing this week?
No Way Home.
No Way Home Spider-Man. If you didn't see the Spider-Man episodes previously, we just did 4 in a row.
Yeah,
this is our 5th Spider-Man
You
episode.
have to watch all of those every single second in order to be able to get this.
Basically, you won't understand this. It'll go over your head.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't just watch the movies. You really have to hear like insightful critique and explanation and analysis of those other films. So you're gonna have to watch pretty much RNS Podcast,
exactly.
The previous episode.
Do that before you watch No Way Home. Then watch No Way Home. Then come back and watch this.
Yeah, and then watch all of them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much. But before that, Dylan.
Yeah, what's your little...
I have to tell you something.
Evan has a little tale for us.
Yeah, I have something to tell you, Dylan.
What did you do?
So you know how usually whenever we're doing the podcast, I'm late?
Yes, I do.
So Dylan, I had to tell you something.
What?
And I'm telling all our viewers now. Live on air.
What?
Well, we're not really live, but you know.
Yes.
We will be live. Dylan?
You're broadcasting to the world, yes.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
This is like the ending of No Way Home.
But what
Early
is it?
spoilers. Dylan, I'm Spider-Man.
You're Spider-Man the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm on that Spider-Man 2 shit.
Oh my god.
And that's why I'm always late.
Oh my god. You're just like the beginning of Spider-Man 2. Well, guess what, Evan? Alright. That's okay. I don't know what you want me to say to that, but that's fine.
I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to know the truth.
I have a responsibilities like a Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Very cool.
I'm using Spider-Man 2 as my excuse for being late. You should understand. I'm like Peter Parker.
Good choice. Good, noble choice.
Thank you.
Anyways, do you want to talk about the movie now?
Yes.
Okay. I think we should start off like just give it a score, and then we'll talk about some generic stuff, and then we'll get more into like the specifics of the movie.
I would give it, for a good portion of the movie, I was feeling a 6, but towards the end, I bumped it up to a 7 out of 10.
That's not bad. I pretty much give it the same. I would give it my classic rating system of rating it out of 3 stars. I give it 2 out of 3 stars, and on Letterboxd I gave it 3 out of 5. So
Like a 6 out of 10.
yeah, something around there. I think a 2 out of 3 is more accurate. So maybe like like you were saying, it's like between a 6 and a 7. I'd give it around there. The reason I do that, and I want to talk about this off the top too, is it's an entertaining movie. It's a fun movie.
It is.
And there's some genuinely decent character work, which you can't really say for.
Finally, yeah, for first time in an MCU Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
They had him feel like Spider-Man, at least by the ending. And I really like that a lot.
And that's something that I actually heard quite a bit from earlier reviews. And I pretty much agree.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to agree with that. I was like, there's no way it's gonna like actually feel like that.
I had already spoiled the ending, like we talked about, and now I was like seeing people say in the reviews. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I was like intrigued. I was like, will it actually feel good? Like, will this like, does it just sound good on paper, or will it actually like be executed well? And I thought they did a good job.
I agree. I think it was executed well. But on the whole, the movie is very similar to like Endgame. Is very similar to like Rise of Skywalker, where it's just fan service. It's just Easter eggs. It's just references.
Yeah.
And also just like VFX parts and there is more to it though, I think, than Endgame and
Rise of Skywalker, definitely.
Yeah, and Rise.
And in this case, I feel like the Easter eggs was something that I have more of an attachment to, and also I feel like it was executed better.
I agree.
Also,
I agree.
It has that working for it.
And I think also another thing that works for it is, of course, Star Wars. You go into Rise of Skywalker, and it's like I've already seen Luke and Han and Leia. In this trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's not really much you can pull back out. I guess the Emperor,
but that was done horribly.
But it was really bad.
So that's just part of what we were saying. Like a lot of the fan service in Rise of Skywalker, that whole movie sucks, but the fan service was just terrible.
And then I guess in Endgame, it's like most players in the MCU are still in the MCU, so there's nothing. There's no moments like in No Way Home where you're like, oh wow, like I don't remember this guy. Like it's like I saw War Machine like 2 movies ago.
And then on top of it, in Endgame, all the main characters pretty much developed backwards instead of forwards. That's why I feel like, oh,
what do you mean by that?
Well, like we didn't like Captain America what he did because it felt like it was going against all the character development that he had to that point. Same thing with Tony. Thor, it's more debatable, but I personally felt like it was. And then we're in this it feels like, oh, Tom actually did develop.
Yeah.
He didn't go backwards, unlike Tony, Captain America, and Thor.
Yeah, there was definitely like, it's strange because I guess you could make an argument about like, oh, how they handle the heroes in Endgame versus this movie versus No Way Home. But I think Spider-Man, the difference is this is consistently how Spider-Man should be at the end of the movie, and I did kind of want to talk broadly about it, and then we're only talking about the ending.
Yeah,
I did want to talk about like what I really liked about it too. In Endgame, like you said, I don't know if backwards is the right way to put it, but they kind of...
That's how it felt for me, especially Captain America and Iron Man. It felt like
say,
it went against the character development.
Yeah,
so I feel like they regressed.
I would say it's not backwards, or I guess just I would say it's more just inconsistent. Because even if you want to make like a show of it and you want to be like, oh, here's a big change for both characters, it's just inconsistent with what they would actually, with what you would actually expect or want them to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would be nice, and I don't want to talk about Endgame for too long, but it would be nice maybe if like Captain America let Iron Man live, like he was like, I'll do the sacrifice, like or something like that.
It's even if you don't want to talk about it, it's definitely an apt comparison. I think
it's like the closest. It's like this is more closely related to those type of movies than any other Spider-Man movie, and that's why it's also very stupid when people on Twitter are saying this is the best Spider-Man movie. And
not even close.
It's not even close. It's not even close, and this isn't even like. It's also like Endgame, or you could say Infinity War. I think Infinity War is much closer to a real movie than Endgame. But those type of big blockbuster movies where it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
This is more closely related to that than anything else.
Yeah.
I would almost... That should just be a new genre.
Honestly,
like, it doesn't even feel like oh, this is a superhero movie. Like, this is that. It's like... Whatever those are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I definitely get what you mean.
Ghostbusters Afterlife is another example, too. It's very similar.
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Well, it's you get the idea, I'm sure. So,
but I feel like this would definitely, for those movies that we have, if one of the better ones that exists.
Yeah, this might be the best example of that.
Uh-huh.
And like I said too, it's you have the added benefit of actually being re-exposed to these characters that you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
And that I don't know if that's really been done before. I mean, I guess you could say Force Awakens. I guess, right?
Yeah.
I guess
Force Awakens, yeah, definitely, yeah.
But,
yeah, that would be the best comparison, I think.
Yeah. What the heck was I gonna say? Something about Spider-Man, I guess. I don't know.
That's all we have to say about No Way Home. We've been building up for the last, how many months has it been? When was July?
Probably at least like 2 months or something.
No, I'm saying our very first episode was on No Way Home.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. So, we've been building up to this. Almost 6 months. Yeah, it's been 5 months, yeah. We've been building up to this, and that's all we have to say about No Way Home.
Nah. I'm joking. Psych. So, after that, the shit about the blockbuster movies kind of deal, what do you have another subject you want to move on to?
Well, that was a good way to start it, I think. Just get that out of the way. Well, of course, you can't ignore the elephant in the room. Of course, Tobey Maguire and Andrew...
The big lizard in the room?
Yeah, the lizard. The lizard is finally back. Riz Ahmed and the lizard. No, I'm just joking. That's an inside joke. I don't even know what the dude's name is. The lizard and back.
It's impossible to remember that guy's name. Yeah. It's impossible. It's just random
The British guy. The British guy who's playing Rasputin in The King's Man. He came back as the lizard. No, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield both come back. If you're going to have a spoiler review, that gotta be like the first thing you talk about, of course. And any true fan of RNS knows that me and Dylan were very excited to see Tobey Maguire again. Yeah, and I want to say, the people that were saying, like, posting cool, relatable images and saying, this will be me if Toby's not in the movie. He was always in the movie. Yeah,
he was. Like, I guess me and Evan have the advantage of we've been following the movie outside of, like, the current media about it. Yeah. We've been following it outside of that for a long time. So I guess I could see why people would be unsure. But I was basically sure like a year or two ago. Not two, but a long time ago. Last year. It was around like August last year, something like that, when we first started hearing about stuff about that. So yeah. Long time ago. So there was never any point where I was thinking like, oh, they're not in it. I don't know. Like, nah, they're definitely in it. And I think before before we get into Toby and Andrew, do you want to talk about the beginning of the movie first?
So this was definitely the weakest part of the movie for me. Like the first, I don't know, when did Doc Ock come in? It's like 30, 40 minutes into the movie, something like that.
That sounds right.
So yeah, the first half an hour or so of the movie, I was not feeling at all.
I was like, okay.
I was like, yeah, this. I think I turned to you at one point. I was like, this is bad.
No, you turned to me. No, what you said. Well, you did say that. But what I really, you were like, "Where's Toby?"
Yeah, I was waiting, and they make you wait for them. I will say that they make you wait.
They do make you wait.
Yeah,
it
pays off though. It pays off. Yeah, yeah. But they do make you wait.
But I do have to say, like it's kind of interesting to see Peter's life changed by what Mysterio doxing him.
Yeah, I was.
I like that.
Yeah, at least he did. There was that aspect also where he had some consequences as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, I guess. But it's just, for me, it's like the writing was so bad. I don't like these characters at all. They're all so corny to me. And it's just like watching this, I'm like, oh my God.
I guess I liked one scene I liked in that bit of the movie was I liked when he went back to the high school, and I liked the whole admissions thing. I think that was a good point in the movie.
Yeah, that was fine.
But in general, I don't like this version of Aunt May.
No,
I don't like
me either.
I don't like Happy. I don't like Ned. And Zendaya,
this is her best.
She grew on me.
Yeah, this is the best.
She did grow on me.
She's done in this role,
and
I see most people say that it's the best version of her so far.
And Tom.
Yeah, and Tom.
At least for me, since Civil War, this is the best he's been.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. I'm talking about just the beginning of the movie. He gets better towards the end. After
well, he gets actually genuinely good at the end.
Yeah.
But
that one scene. Well, I guess we'll talk about it soon. At the cafe and the ending, he was great in that. I'll give him credit for that. That was honestly one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and that was like, this is the first time the cafe scene at the end. I was like, well, this was a great scene. That was solely on him. It didn't involve Toby, Andrew, Iron Man, any crossover. It was purely MCU Spider-Man. Himself,
it was literally just MCU
it.
Spider-Man and MCU Spider-Man supporting characters. And it was actually a good moment.
Scene. Yeah.
And they didn't. One thing I really loved about that scene too is there was no bullshit. There was no there was no jokes. There was no like like Ned's like trying to catch like a stray frog in the background or some silly bullshit they just add.
It was played 100%
to make the babies laugh while they're talking. Like it was just played straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I was talking to you earlier when I read about the ending. I was like, will it actually be done well? Because I'm thinking like they could easily just make it jokey as hell, but they played it 100%.
Yeah, maybe
straight.
the leaker was just omitting like the stupid bullshit in it or something. But no, it's played very straight.
Yeah.
But we'll get into more of the specifics about that soon. I guess I don't have too much to say about like kind of the beginning like third or quarter of the movie, but I did want to mention the Daredevil part. I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. But then again, it's like the thing for that. It's like, okay, it's dope. But it's just an Easter egg, you know what I mean?
It is kind of just an Easter egg, but at the same time...
It was cool seeing Charlie Cox in Daredevil again, though, because I do like him.
I think you do need something, because they wanted to explore the whole... And honestly, the whole ending Mysterio of Far From Home thing, I feel like that is the issue, not anything in this movie. I mean, I guess you could argue all of it's not great, but they really just... I don't know. It's very strange to me. I guess the whole movie is wrapped up in... trying to fix that.
Yeah.
But them coming through the portal could have been any number of things. It didn't have to be Doctor Strange trying to help Peter. It could have been a million things. So it just doesn't feel... This barely even feels like related to Far From Home, I guess.
Yeah, maybe I can see what you mean.
I guess just the ending of Far From Home just feels very tacked on to me now. I mean, not that it was great before, but it's just like you didn't really... They explored it to some extent, but it has very little bearing on the rest of this movie. Outside of just being the reason.
Well, I don't know. That's like,
spell.
I guess, but then I feel like because if it didn't happen, would he end up? Will we get to that point where he's at in the ending of the movie if it didn't happen? I feel like probably not.
No, but I think you could have him still make a hard choice and not have it be related. Because that's one issue I have also with the movie. Is there's a lot of leaps in logic.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't even just
and they
mean
even acknowledge it, which I wasn't.
When?
Like, for example, I don't know if this is exactly what you mean, but like when Doctor Strange, they fuck up the spell, and then Doctor Strange's like, wait, you didn't even talk to the emission people? You know what I mean?
I like that.
I wasn't crazy, but that was another thing where I was like...
Well, the one thing I like about that is I feel like they give him something a kid would actually do. Like, not... Like, in Homecoming, the shit he does that's childish feels like baby shit. Like, he's like, no, I'm a grown-up. Like, I'm a grown-up. Like, it's not like that. It's just like... The, like, you don't have the competence, like, to operate in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a problem like that. It's like, you came to me, like... It's like going to your mom or dad. It's like, I don't know how to, like, change the oil in my car. Can you do it for me? It's like... Or, I guess that's not a great example, because your parents probably should teach you how to do that. But... Just the idea of, like, a kid not willing to problem solve on his own. Like, at all. He was like, this is bad. I have to go to, like, the most powerful guy I know to fix it. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was good, like I said, just because it's more of a realistic kind of immature thing to do rather than just acting like a baby.
Yeah, for me, it was just... I didn't like it because it reminded me of, like, those moments we don't like in Far From Home or Homecoming. Like, the bus scene... Like, you know, just like extreme incompetence. It wasn't to that level, though, because, like I've said this before, the bus scene is the worst scene in any Spider-Man movie, in my opinion, from Far From Home.
But one thing I do like also about the No Way Home thing is, like, he kind of realizes he's an idiot for that, and he's like, oh, well, I gotta go track her down.
Yeah, I will give it that, though, because, like we said, he actually does develop in this movie, so you can go back and be like, okay, well, that was part of this. Yeah. Like, realizing he was an idiot. That it had the added benefit of that, unlike the other two movies. I will say that.
And another thing I don't like about the Mysterio reveal is it feels so divorced from anything. It's just kind of like, oh, here's your superhero movie. Now you're doxxed. I guess you could say it's like his punishment for, like, being stupid and, like, giving Mysterio the glasses.
Yeah.
But anyways, Far From Home sucks. I don't know. I was just kind of trying to think, like... I don't know. I guess it does affect this movie a bit, but... Well, what I was saying about the leaps in logic, though, the leaps in logic the movie makes, it's like from stuff to... people have pointed this out. Electro didn't know who Peter Parker was at any time, and that's kind of the conceit, is like, people that know who Peter Parker is are coming in the portal.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And I don't think... And then Sam... I don't know. But it's just, there's weird leaps in logic where...
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Electro never knew who he was. No. So why the hell is he there?
No, and also, one thing about that is insane is they even make a joke about, like, oh, I thought you were black.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so you're telling... Like, in the movie, you're acknowledging that your own logic is flawed by making that joke.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't even think about that. I was like...
That's sloppy.
So why is he there?
That's sloppy. I don't know, just, I feel like the whole magic thing, it just muddies the whole movie.
Yeah, kind of. Because also, well, there were 5 exceptions, so, you know, they come in there. There's never a reasonable explanation as to why Toby and Andrew got pulled in as well. And there isn't at all.
The Electro thing and the Spider-Man's is like, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't even work with your own logic.
Yeah.
Because I guess they had to put, like, a fine point on it, like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Like... This is specifically what's happening. I guess you can't really have Doctor Strange just say, like, oh, Spider-Man characters are coming through because we messed up the spell. Yeah. Like, you have to give it some type of logic, I guess. But like I say this quite a bit with superhero movies and stuff, like, if the story is still good, I don't really care about your logic. Your logic can be shit, and it's, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
But really, for me, just, you could have made this, like, technology-based, maybe, or... You could have made the spell, like, different or make more sense or something. I don't know. And it does bother me because there's a big chunk of the movie dedicated to the whole multiverse thing, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't great. And then I had already thought about the things like, well, they don't really give an explanation as to why Toby and Andrew got pulled in. But I didn't even, like, it totally... didn't even cross my mind, the Electro thing. He didn't even know who he was, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and like I said, the fact that he, like, literally in dialogue, because if you don't acknowledge it, you can let it...
Yeah.
Like, more people would let it slide. But the fact that it's, like, within your own movie's logic, this is flawed. Like, if you're only looking at this movie alone, or you can already tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty sloppy. But there's some clever stuff, though. There's some clever stuff. like for example, when Lizard say,
Poor Peter
"Poor
Parker."
Peter Parker." Yeah.
All alone.
Yeah, that was great logic. That was cool logic. I don't know. Some of the villains were used in clever ways. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, we both talked about that. We did like Sandman.
Yeah.
He was like, they didn't bring him back, and all of a sudden he was like, they didn't go back on what they had built with him. Like he actually kind of had a
He's
reason.
fairly consistent.
Yeah, like he was good. He's like helping Peter out. Then he realized it wasn't Peter. Then it's like, well, I just want to go back. Like you're making it complicated. I just want to go back and see my daughter, because he had no, like the rest of the villains, they all kind of had a stake in it.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, if we go back, we're gonna die. But for him, that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least with Lizard, he didn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, because that was at the point in time of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 where he got pulled from.
Yeah, he got sucked out right at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, where Sandman, it seems like it was after part 3.
That's one thing I did want to mention is I thought about Sandman. It would have been interesting if he had some conflict with the other villains.
Yeah.
Because
he kind of did.
Really only like briefly in dialogue.
Yeah.
But I mean like at the end of the movie in the final fight.
Yeah.
It could have made the fight more dynamic, I guess. Because like you said, he's the only one that's like, okay, well, just to explain very quickly like what we're talking about. Spider-Man's objective in this movie is to cure all the villains of their powers and send them back to their universes so that maybe they don't have to die in a fight.
Yeah.
But Sandman, of course, is the only one who does not die in a fight. That could have made it so... And there's literally just like a magic button. If you press this button, they go back.
Yeah.
So that it would have been interesting if Sandman... He was like, well, fuck curing them. I want to leave.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he really had no... Like, he didn't need to be cured. All he wanted was to just go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that made sense to me.
Yeah, so why was he... I don't know why he was even involved in the last fight.
Yeah, that when you think about it like that, that's another kind of leap in logic as well. So, yeah. I guess besides that, I enjoyed what they did with him. And I like that he was helping Peter against Electro at the beginning.
That was
dope.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And it was cool to see also like a TASM villain and a
and a Raimi villain fight. Yeah,
and they're probably the two most powerful Spider-Man villains.
Yeah,
like in general.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's interesting.
They're always the ones when I would see like a cartoon with them, or I mentioned this in the Spider-Man 3 video. Like if you see Electro, you see Sandman, like you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like they're literally elemental. You cannot kill them.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It is. It is.
So yeah, it was cool to see them fight. So I think we covered kind of some of the general stuff, and we covered like the first little bit of the movie. You want to talk about the bridge fight?
Yeah, that was okay. So
well, I want to mention like my reaction.
Okay.
It's like, well, for those of you at home, Evan spoiled pretty much the whole movie for himself. Pretty much.
Well, we spoiled about the same amount, except I knew the ending.
Towards the ending, Evan kept looking at the specifics, and I did not.
Yeah. I was gonna say, but there was like a lot of like I didn't. The specifics, I guess you could say, I didn't really spoil too much, but like the very ending, we didn't really know about that up until like
the premiere.
Yeah, pretty much. But that I did spoil, so I knew what happened with Tom at the end and everything. But as far as like their dynamics, Peter, Andrew, and Tom, I didn't really want to, because I was like, that I'll save for when I see the movie.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just saying because maybe this doesn't even relate to spoilers because you kind of just have to feel out like what's happening. But when he realizes from Doctor Strange like, oh, I should just go talk to the admissions lady. And I guess like his AI like doxes her, and he's like he has a like Microsoft's database they send to the government or whatever, and he just finds her on the bridge, and I realize like, oh, he's swinging on the fucking bridge.
Yeah.
So of course you realize Doc Ock is not far. From home.
Mm-hmm. Good movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I just looked at you, and I like my eyes were real big because I was like, at that point I didn't know how long it would take to get into that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, finally, something. Is there even, like, a Spider-Man action scene up to that point? Not really, right?
No, I don't think so.
Does he fight Doctor Strange?
No, that's later. That's later, after they capture all the villains.
I guess I can respect that, I guess.
That's the thing, though. That's what I mean. It's, like, in that way, kind of like Spider-Man 2, where it doesn't have, any action for a good point. But for me, it's just, like, I don't like the drama in this. Unlike with Spider-Man 2, I like that drama. For this,
Well, in this movie as well,
what I mean?
pretty much, like we were saying, it's like one of those weird like new no story like blockbusters.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, I do give it some credit, but I don't think you should be reserved in this kind of movie. But there's also the issue of like budget and shit like that. So
yeah, it's just like the drama for me up and for like the first 30 minutes. It just feels very. I don't even know what the word for it is. It doesn't feel real to me. It's like
hollow.
It's like a lot of MCU drama where it's never done that well. Yeah, I would say hollow is a good word to use for it. Like, an MCU movie I feel that did drama well was like Civil War. You know what I mean? Where, for the most part, it plays itself very straight.
Yeah.
And then they finally do that at the end of this movie. That was like a scene of drama that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But for the good part, like the beginning of the movie, I just like, I don't like these characters. And then it's typical MCU dialogue. I can't like look at the movie and be like, oh, okay, well, at least it looks great. It looks like every other MCU movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the beginning of the movie really did nothing for me.
Yeah, and I feel like, even though, of course, in a plot way, the whole Mysterio, my identity's revealed, that whole thing, because that's pretty much all the drama in the first chunk of the movie. Like, what is that? And then, of course, Tom has like a pretty hard character turn at the end of the movie. Like, and those don't really relate. Like, in a consistent kind of arc way.
I don't know. I have to think about it.
Okay, well, let's just say we're like fucking... How long are we? We're almost 30 minutes in the review. I think we can just spoil the ending.
Well, we've done it already.
Well, not wholly. We haven't talked about that. So just warning if you didn't want to know.
Well, sure you should be if you haven't seen the movie,
it's
or
pretty much you
should be watching this anyways. Yeah,
it's pretty much a spoiler review anyway. But I just wanted to say because we haven't fully talked about the ending yet. So the ending with Tom, he makes a choice similar to Spider-Man 1, where he doesn't want to get Zendaya involved in his life again as Spider-Man. So what? Thinking about it in relation, like I was saying to the beginning, like does that even connect? So the beginning is him being doxxed, and then I guess that does connect.
I would say it does because like he wanted them to get into MIT. I would say I did like that. The reason he goes to Doctor Strange is pretty unselfish because he wasn't going for him. He wanted to go because Ned and MJ couldn't get into MIT, because of him. So I would say in that way it relates because it's like, well, if I get them involved with my life again, some BS like that ain't gonna happen again. I'd rather not put that on them. So I would say it's pretty consistent with that at the very least.
But one thing I don't like too is like so Spider-Man goes, he sees Doctor Strange, Spider-Man fucks up the spell.
Yeah.
And then immediately when Doctor Strange is like, there's monsters. Or like, I guess Spider-Man encounters one on his own.
Yeah.
And then when he gets in contact with Doctor Strange, he's like, oh, I need my friends to help me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
Like, you literally, the reason you ruined all of this...
Yeah, that was not great.
...is because, like...
They just needed a reason to get those two characters in. Yeah. And I agree, that was not good. I totally agree with you.
That doesn't make any sense.
And
so I guess that's more inconsistent with the ending than anything.
Oh, but I didn't get to finish talking about the Doctor Strange bridge scene. I wanted to get my reaction.
The Doctor Strange.
Doc Ock bridge scene.
Well, yeah, we didn't really talk about it.
When the music started playing,
it's epic.
I was like, I turned to you right away. I was like, yeah, I think that's Doc Ock's theme from Spider-Man 2.
And there's one part specifically where I was like, oh, maybe. And then there's like that one. It might be like. Da, 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 da. Is it like that? Or is that the actual Spider-Man theme? I don't know. No. But the point is, there was one part where I was like, oh, yeah, that is Raimi. Yeah. So, yeah, very cool, very epic. Very nice.
Yeah, and that whole scene, it was a good action scene.
And one thing I really liked is, this dude's trying to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it was really cool the way the Iron Spider shifts where the armor was to save him. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. And because he was like, deadass just going to stab him in the heart.
Yeah.
That was dope. And then that was cleverly done too, where that's what reveals to him that's not the same Peter Parker.
Yeah.
It's because it shifts the metal from the mask down to the chest to protect him, to save him. That part was awesome. Because he goes for a kill blow and like...
Yeah.
I don't know, like
very. And he brought back the classic arm knife from Spider-Man 2. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. And I really liked when he has him on the top of the bridge and he grabs the helicopter to try and push the blade on his brain.
Yeah.
That's because I looked at you at that part and I was like, that's pretty savage.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that type of stuff really in these movies.
Yeah. A lot of the action in this movie was brutal.
The action was actually good.
Yeah, it was
actually good.
This has easily one of my favorite action scenes in the MCU, which we can talk about in a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. But that's really one thing I really like about this movie too, is it gives Doc Ock, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, Green Goblin.
Yeah.
They both get very distinct action scenes to shine.
Yeah.
And they also get a good amount of character in the movie as well.
I think they did all the Raimi villains. They handled them really well.
Yeah, even though Sandman, like, he wasn't, like, super integral or anything, they did him pretty...
Yeah.
They did him right. You know?
Yeah. The TASM villains, I'm not a fan of that series, so I can't really speak to that too well.
Can you imagine if they gave, like, Lizard a big epic action sequence, like, specifically? I don't think so.
Yeah, he was kind of the butt of the joke of the 5 of them throughout the movie.
Lizard,
they were kind of making fun of him the entire movie, so yeah.
He's probably the least powerful as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, do you want to talk about Green Goblin?
Well, what happened after Doc Ock? Is there anything good?
Yeah, Green Goblin pulls up. After you finish fighting him, yeah.
Well, right at the end of the fight. So that's really epic, actually. It's like right at the end of the fight, Doctor Strange starts pulling Peter, like teleporting him so he can talk to him.
Yeah.
And then the last thing he sees is like the classic Green Goblin, like laughing and like throwing a pumpkin bomb. And I just thought that was like, it was really cool that they let that slight moment of intimidation be the only like view of the classic Goblin suit in its full glory.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of clever.
It was.
And then of course through the rest of the movie he looks quite different, Norman, but that's all right.
It's like they kind of gave him a more comic accurate look, but not exactly. But it was fine though. I did like his new look actually.
Me too.
Yeah, it was fine.
And they kind of, I deadass, like, there's a Mr. I hate to bring up a specific other podcast and talk about what they talk about, but Mr. Sunday Movies, in his, whenever he talks about the Raimi movies, I think it is in the Caravan of Garbage. I'm sure you watched those, right?
I think I did.
When they came out like 2 years ago or something.
I think. I can't remember.
Well, he says, like, why did you put a mask on someone with a goblin face? Like, Willem Dafoe has a goblin face. Why? And I feel like almost, like, that's literally, like, they listen to that.
Don't do Willem like that. He's beautiful.
Yeah, he's beautiful, but he looks exactly like a goblin. No, but I think that's like they listen to that.
Well, yeah, he's scary.
Or they understand that sentiment. Yeah,
he can make himself scary very easily.
Yeah, he could pull off a big like evil smile, and of course his voice is very distinct. And very like he can make it very intimidating. But I just thought that was weird that like. No, don't give him a new Green Goblin mask. Just have his goblin face out. Like that almost feels like they heard that episode.
I would agree.
But I think all of the decisions with his costume were good.
Yeah, I didn't mind them at all.
And Doc Ock, his hair looked weird to me.
It was definitely different. It didn't bother me.
Why was it like curly? Wasn't it curly?
I don't know. Not really curly, but like...
I don't think it was like that in like frizzy, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really like that in Spider-Man 2.
No, it wasn't, but it didn't bother me too much. It was fine.
Yeah, I guess the...
His jacket went darker, too, and everything, but... Yeah, this is fine. It didn't really bother me.
Okay, yeah. Well, mostly the only reason I'm bothered is because I want... When they do Spider-Man No Way Home Legos, I want to just have, like, an accurate Spider-Man 2 Alfred Molina.
You can get it. They have a Doc Ock Raimi Lego.
Yeah, on eBay for, like, $60.
Yeah. Why not?
Great, thanks, Evan.
You want an original.
Huh?
You want an original.
Oh, my goodness. Anyways. Well, no, I'm just saying if he looked exactly like the old movie, I way prefer that. But yeah, so they both look good. They both look fine, and everyone looks pretty good. I think the worst effect in the movie is the lizard.
Why you change Doc Ock a little bit, but you can't change the lizard a little bit? Why you make him still look horrible?
Yeah, and you change Electro's entire personality, and you give him a new costume.
Yeah,
and you change Goblin's suit, you change Doc Ock's suit at least a little bit, but like, and also the lizard, not even just like, oh, his design was bad in TASM. I think he looks actively worse here. Like he's like a brighter green, and he's like not.
His eyes are like red too in this one.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah,
and it's also still very weird to see someone talk out of that fucking face.
Yeah, I agree. And to give the Amazing Spider movie some credit, they're known for having pretty good CGI, especially Part 2. So easily. It's like
yeah.
And MCU does not always have great CGI, so
Well, I'm just saying, like designs aside, Lizard looks way better in TASM.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, designs aside, they look the same.
Yeah.
But
he looked bad in TASM too, but that was mostly just because it wasn't the CGI, it's just because like the design they chose was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas in this, it was.
But here, the CGI is actively worse, and of course, in TASM 1, he's obviously like one of, if not the core effect.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a bit different, but yeah, he looks actively worse here.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, all the designs are good, and it was fucked up when they gave Toby and Andrew new costumes. For those of you that haven't seen it,
no,
I'm sorry, but they have new costumes. They don't look good, but no, I'm just playing. They look the same.
Yeah, just their CGI now, but It was fun.
Yeah. Well, they were CGI for big chunks of their own movies too. But.
Well, I just mean like even when they just have the costume on. Like I notice, you know what I mean, when they're just standing there. Like when Andrew came out of the portal, he wasn't like he was doing an action scene. He was just in the costume.
Yeah.
It was just all CGI.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right.
Oh, it definitely is. Rewatch the movie. We're rewatching the movie after this. Yeah, it's all CGI.
Oh, well, I'm not unlike Velma. I don't have my glasses.
Yeah.
So I can't say.
No, I know like 100% fact. It's all
well,
CGI.
I know there was one part with him in the kitchen, like right after Andrew comes, he's like in Ned Leeds like grandma's kitchen. That looked real.
I had to look again.
That's
I know when he had the mask on though. When he first came out of the portal, definitely CGI.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But when he had the mask off, I think it was a real suit.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a real suit when like Toby slightly shows it under his shirt. I wonder if that was real. So yeah, what do you want to move on to? We talked about Doc Ock, and then what do you do? He like kills Aunt May and stuff. I don't know.
What Green Goblin?
Yeah. What else happens? What happens between Green Goblin? I guess
he captures the villains.
Yeah, he captures the villains. Oh, I did want to say though, real quick, it was cool that the two villains that get the least love are the ones that kind of fight each other.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Even though that fight scene wasn't great.
Yeah,
at least
I honestly wasn't crazy about that. Though my favorite part of that scene was Sandman.
Yeah,
because I liked when he pulled up and he's like, "Yeah, Peter, I'll help."
I do like that his first instinct when he sees Spider-Man is to help him.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
But I don't know how any of them could mistake swole Bully McGuire for fucking Tom Holland. Because yeah, like Doc Ock was like, "You think your new fancy suit's gonna help you?" It's like that's clearly not the same guy.
But just in fairness, if you just all you see, assuming you think you're still in your own world, you just see a Spider-Man suit.
Someone's
you know what
around.
I mean? You're just gonna be like,
you might not think.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when a cat sees like a cucumber and they think it's a snake. Like,
that's a leap in logic that doesn't really bother me too much.
That's fine. And it is cool to see their reaction when they're like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
like, who are you?" That's it's cool. And I do like him being like, "Your fancy new suit's not gonna help you, nah." And I hate the Iron Spider. Like not even just the costume, because we've talked about that before. Yeah. The Iron Spider costume itself is ugly, but I hate the arms.
Yeah, me too.
They literally just act like a ball.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like when he fights with them, they just like act like a ball.
I don't really know what you mean by
that. Like they're basically like he just uses them as like a ball-shaped object to hit things. Like it's not like Doc Ock where they're independent like appendages. It's just it's almost like he's like just has a big beach ball in front of him and they're smacking stuff.
It's like Sonic's spin attack.
It's nothing like that. But that's okay. That's fine.
He turns into a big ball and attacks.
Oh yeah, I guess he does.
So there you go.
Anyways, now we're gonna talk about the Sonic 2 trailer.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Oh yeah, so great. I like when he has the blue electricity.
Yeah, that was so good.
No, okay. So yeah, he goes and rounds up the villains.
Yeah.
Which I don't even remember this part really.
Because it wasn't great. Like that Electro scene was not great, and then
does he solo anyone?
Lizard, did he even capture Lizard?
I think he might have been there already.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. I want to see that part.
Yeah.
Even though that wouldn't have been very hard for Doctor Strange to fight the Lizard.
And then Doc Ock is there, and then Norman. So he first attacks him.
That was dope.
Yeah, he first attacks him. Then he's like, I guess Norman's side of his brain kind of comes back and he destroys the mask. Yeah. He's like, he's trying to act sane, I guess.
Yeah, he's trying to take control back. And he says basically Spider-Man catches all the villains, so Doc Ock, Electro, Sandman, and Lizard are all captured.
Yeah.
And then he goes out to find Norman, and Norman's the only one that's like, "Hey, like help me. Like, I don't know what's going on." And he goes to Aunt May's like
to Feast,
the homeless outreach program she runs. Yeah, Feast. And Aunt May is kind of consoling him, and that part is awesome.
Can we talk about this really quick?
What?
So, we kind of talked about this the other night after we saw the movie. So, do you think this was Norman being manipulative, or do you think was?
I think in this movie they pretty much hard confirm that, yeah, he has like a split personality. I think it's pretty... Because there's certain things... When he's evil, right? When he's evil, he's already like killing them and attacking them and stuff. Mm-hmm. He says, what does he say? Something to the effect of, the other Norman was like too weak to do something, or like the other. So I don't think he would still play it up at that point.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. Like, we knew, obviously, in Spider-Man 1, he had the split personality. But at a certain point, we talked about this, it becomes like Norman and the Goblin are like one, basically.
Well, I think...
At a certain point. It's after the mirror scene in Spider-Man 1.
I think it could also be that, like, the evil Norman personality could, like, tactfully choose when to give it back.
Yeah.
Maybe that one's, like, the dominant personality, and it's, like, choosing to give it back at certain times. Because that would track for Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man and this one.
Yeah.
So you never know.
That's what I mean, because, like, the end of Spider-Man 1, it's like, oh, Norman comes out, but at the same time, it's the Goblin being manipulative.
Yeah.
You know when he tried to kill Peter at the end of 1. So I was like, if I read it in a way like that, I kind of like that a little bit better. Which
would you like better?
Where it's like kind of the Goblin being manipulative with the other person out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to get close to them by acting like he's... You know what I mean? I kind of like that.
Because I was thinking... we were talking about that. I was not sure how to feel because it's very ambiguous in Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
As to, like, what's real and what's not, and at what point is he, like, over the brink and shit like that. But I guess if you read it as, like, the Goblin being the dominant personality and he's, like, choosing good times for Norman to be normal, like, that actually does make sense.
I kind of like that better.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Big breakthroughs on RNS podcast.
I would say, but the genius Sam Raimi would do something like that. But the non-genius John Watts would never do that. No, that's
that's like actually like right before we left the theater. That's like one of the last things we said was
all the good stuff in this movie was thought of by Sam Raimi.
Yeah, all the good stuff was Sam Raimi's contribution.
Sam Raimi was like, you know what? Why don't you just give Tom the same ending as Spider-Man 1? That's what he said to John Watts.
And John Watts said, I'll tell Kevin Feige.
Yeah. That's what he said. That is definitely what happened. But yeah, so that was kind of a cool scene.
Yeah, just seeing like, sorry, real quick.
No.
Just seeing like a homeless Norman Osborn, like and then like talking to Spider-Man and stuff. That's,
in the green and purple rags.
That's
cool
great,
too,
and it's like, and they are like it's silly, but I love it. Like he has like the Technicolor like bright green and purple robes. That
it looked good. I like that. Actually.
It did, but it's so clearly like it's very blatant.
Yeah, this is a Goblin. Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like, oh, I pulled these off the rack at Goodwill, or like someone gave these to me. It's like this dude went to like he went
out of his way to find this.
This dude went to Macy's and paid full price for these two articles of clothing, but it still looks cool. It's good.
But okay, there was something me and you were not too hot on here. It was kind of Aunt May's initial advice to Peter here.
Yeah.
It's like she was like, yeah, we should just try and reform the villains, which is something they try to do. That's not so bad to me. But it's like she kind of implying, at least with Norman, she was kind of implying, yeah, they should just stay here in this world.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
So
I was not hot on that.
I pretty much thought of that as she's like a normie. Like she just...
Yeah.
She doesn't understand the whole multiverse thing as well as some other people. And I think she just sees it as like, if someone's here, like we should just help them.
Yeah.
Which... kind of makes sense just from, and that's something like probably our parents would say, which is cringe of me to say, but you know what I mean.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
I think someone like us would be like, well, the multiverse is vast and people belong in their own multiverse.
That's what I mean. I'm like, they seem better like if they're just in their own home. That's like it seems worse if you keep them in this world. You know what I mean? Like that might be strange.
You're messing with a lot of stuff. By trying to keep them here.
But like you said, there is kind of the added fact that she probably doesn't know too much about shit like that, so there is that. And then of course her wanting to reform them just in general kind of sets up the rest of what happens with the villains. So there is that.
But there is one thing that bothers me about that. It's just I'm really never on his side about that. Like they never fully get me on his side. I guess they get me on on Tom and Aunt May's side of like, let's help the villains, like let's save the villains, and which you've come to understand that doesn't mean like rehabilitating them. It means taking their powers away and sending them back.
Yeah, I think she kind of meant rehabilitate for Norman at least.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
well, I think that's what Aunt May meant in that scene, but Tom takes that as like, let's zap them and take their powers away.
Yeah. Which is a little bit weird.
But it also does kind of like. It makes sense that if you send Electro back into TASM with no powers, like, he might never get into trouble again.
Yeah. That's why it's like, for Sandman, I'm like, you didn't need to take his power, just send him back. Because clearly, at least by this point, he was doing good with his power. You know what I mean? Helping him out.
I don't know if he was.
Well, I'm saying when he helped out
Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's implied that he's still a good person by this point.
Well, he was never a terrible person.
Yeah, I just mean he was using his power to rob banks and shit in Spider-Man 3.
Well, I don't think there's anything to indicate that he stopped doing that.
I don't know. I think so. I think by Spider-Man 3 it seems like he's not going to be on that anymore.
I kind of assume that he would.
Really?
Like, what is he going to do?
It seems strange to me that Peter would be like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, because it's like we said in the Spider-Man 3 episode, he can't beat him, so he just lets him go.
I choose not to look at it like that. That seems weird to me, but
I think what it would be maybe is like, I don't know. I think he would still be willing to steal, but if he saw Spider-Man getting beat up in the streets, he would help him out.
Yeah.
Like if he saw some new.
Well, still, that's like, yeah. Did you have to like neuter him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't. My point is, he wasn't a straight up terrible person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He wasn't out there murdering people, filling them with sand and stuff like.
And, you know, when he did do the bad shit, it was because he wanted to help his sick daughter. So, you know.
But I guess when Spider-Man, like, if Spider-Man's willing to take his powers away before sending him back, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Like, if Toby,
I guess so.
Like, it makes sense to
me. They don't
that,
delve too much into it.
No, they don't. But I think the fact that he, like, Toby himself is the one that depowered. Well, also, he was dying.
Yeah, there's that. There's that. He was trying to fucking.
Oh, that part is awesome. I don't know if you want to get into that already, but.
I guess we'll just save it. You wanted to save talking about Toby and Andrew, so we'll save it.
Yeah, we'll go maybe a bit of chronological order. So, at this point, Norman, all the villains are in cages, and then Doctor Strange and Spider-Man pretty much fight about whether or not to send them back immediately, which obviously the right option is to send them back right now. But that's not what they want to do. But it does...
well, that leads to the fight between...
I think this would be a good time, before we talk about that, which I don't think we'll have even much to say about that. But
I didn't like that scene. But
I wanted to mention how in this movie... and I kind of got this idea through the spoilers. Like, the spoilers, obviously, the spoilers say in big, bold letters, they say Aunt May dies.
Yeah.
When we read them quite a while ago. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to give Tom a tangible loss in, like, an Uncle Ben type way where we can actually see it and it, like, affect him in real time. Not like a flashback, but actually affect the new movie. So I do like the idea that she's the one that puts him on that path in this movie. Yeah. But I don't know how I feel about... It's weird because Uncle Ben dies because Spider-Man does not take his advice. Aunt May dies because Spider-Man does take his advice.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Kind of weird.
And also, it's just kind of inconsistent with this MCU Aunt May. Well, it's even hard to say what's consistent for her because she's been a non-character up until this point.
More or less.
Yeah. Like, her whole character is haha, she's hot. Like, which is stupid. And also, she was letting him be reckless and far from home. Yeah. So it's like, for me, that's where it reads as kind of being inconsistent.
Or I guess, well, she was encouraging him. She was encouraging him to stay Spider-Man, which I guess makes sense for this.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I think, even though maybe it didn't play out, great. But I like the idea that they tried to give Tom his own like Uncle Ben moment, in like a new way, like in the current like time.
And that scene was also not great.
Well, then we'll that
talk
scene,
about it when we get to it.
Her actual death was not good, but I think it was clever to use her in that way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's almost like this movie was... He finally had it, even though he's already Spider-Man, this movie was like his origin story.
Right?
Yeah.
For real. Yeah. It feels like that.
I think that was on purpose. It's strange. It seems like... I was going to wait to talk about this for the ending of the movie, but it seems like there were a lot of criticisms that they actively actually listened to when they did this, which was kudos to them for that.
That's one. I saw a tweet this morning, which God forbid I bring up a tweet. I'm sorry, but there was a tweet that was like, "Oh, like all you like, you guys are trolls and haters, and I'm so glad that because what it was, there's a part where J. Jonah Jameson is talking, and then there's like a he puts a graphic on screen that's like a Time magazine cover, and the Time magazine cover it says Spider-Boy Jr. and it has a picture of like a chibi Spider-Man. And they were like, this is why they literally say this. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
They say these are why the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are successful, because they don't give any weight to to toxic fanboys' criticism. That's almost all this movie is.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Also, we're not toxic fanboys. We're real nerds.
We're literally real nerds.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what the crap?
Yeah.
But that just bothered the fuck out of me, because it's like, you can't even critically look at an MCU movie?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? And, like, putting that in there is, like, kind of funny. Like, that's fine.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice it either.
I'll look for it when we rewatch it.
There's a lot more to look at.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
But I was like, that's kind of funny. I don't know. But it's definitely not, like... there's so much to say about that tweet. I don't know. But I don't want to linger on it too long. But just... that indicates to me that person... you can't even watch an MCU movie critically.
Yeah.
That is embarrassing.
I would agree.
Deeply embarrassing.
I would agree.
Because, like, the entire ending is the ending and the Aunt May thing. That's all, like, a response to the criticisms of the MCU.
Yeah, definitely.
It's insane. I don't know.
That point you brought up was interesting, though, about Aunt May, where it's like not listening to Uncle Ben's advice got him killed, but listening to Aunt May's advice got her killed.
Yeah,
that's strange.
I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like,
it's not necessarily bad, because it's like, when she does die, it's like she kind of understood what he was trying to do. You know what I mean?
Spider-Man was trying to do?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Just as far as just helping out the villain, it seemed like she was, like, encouraging him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you were doing the right thing. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like she kind of accepted that was the reason this happened to her.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I don't know. I'm not necessarily 100% against it, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah, nothing has to be like, oh, like, it has to be 100% like karmically accurate or some shit like that. Like, bad things don't have to always happen to good people. Good things don't always have to happen to bad, like, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't have to be consistent in that way. Yeah. But it's just kind of like,
it's a weird dynamic.
They don't really acknowledge, like, she died doing the right thing. They don't.
No.
They don't
I would
acknowledge
agree with that.
really.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's weird, and also, like, just like we said about the whole multiverse thing, is like, is that even the right thing? I don't know. I don't know.
Like you said, there's the leaps in logic, I guess.
Could this be a commentary on refugees? Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Oh god. When you look at it like that, I'm like, Jesus Christ. The MCU Spider-Man movies are fascist and conservative films. You see, there's some Trump supporters like, you see that? That's why you can't help them out. You can't help them out.
You see, they'll stab your mama right in the building.
I'm dead. Someone's gonna use that fuel for that. Dead ass. That almost reminds me of what's the terrible evil Superman movie? I didn't even think it was terrible, but I wasn't hot on it.
Brightburn.
I think you thought it was terrible, but
I did.
I wasn't hot on it.
Brightburn, yeah.
That was a thing I didn't like about Brightburn. Is that one Brightburn?
It should be, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I thought I was saying the title. I don't know. Whatever that movie is, Brightburn. Yeah, that is the title. That was something I didn't like about the movie, because it's like, well, it's like, it paints... I get what they're trying to do. The novelty of it's like, evil Superman. But then, like, the message you take away from it is not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of the issue I have with the Aunt May thing.
Yeah.
I guess. It's like, it doesn't... That's one reason why I don't think anyone would ever use, like, oh, like, see, like, Green Goblin, like, don't help refugees. Like, I don't think anyone will ever say that, because the movie doesn't read cleanly enough.
Because, like, I told you after I saw Brightburn, I was like, you know what? I actually have more respect for Superman as a character now, because it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, an outsider can come in and, like, it's like an American dream type thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Come in and do what he has to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just worded it terribly, but, like, I can't think right now. I apologize. Where in Brightburn, it's like, oh, you should be afraid of outsiders. You know what I mean? And then, well, they almost kind of do that in this. So what you take away from that isn't great. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess really it's all it's saying is in this movie...
I know there's a joke, the refugee thing, but it's like, if you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, isn't it?
Well, it kind of wasn't a joke. Yeah. It kind of wasn't a joke. Because I'm trying to think, like, what can you, like... What's an allegory for this? Yeah.
That's what it reminded me, though, when you said that. I was like, oh, shit, that makes me think of Brightburn. Because that's what I didn't like about Brightburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I don't know. I don't know if it's even worth... I think it is worth thinking about, just in terms of like, because I really like thinking about like story structure and things like that. I don't know. I just
I don't think it was intentional on their end. I don't think it was either in Brightburn, but it's just like, well, you have to be careful with what you could possibly give viewers as a takeaway with your story choices. You know what I mean?
Because that is one thing about the Superman story in general that works, is because these people are taking a chance on this random baby.
Yeah.
That they found from the sky.
Yeah.
But in Brightburn, it's like, oh yeah, what you would expect, not what you would expect necessarily, but like, oh yeah, you take
this outsider's evil. Yeah.
You take a chance, not even in an outsider type of way, but just like taking a risk. The risk is like you took the risk and it was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not interesting for a story.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of how I view this movie's thing too. It's like Spider-Man take a risk to do the right thing, and it turns out bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that when I think about it like that, I'm like, that kind of makes it worse.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
That's weird. We'll see. Rewatch, like I said, rewatch today. I'll think about it when it happens. So yeah. Oh, what were we talking about though? We didn't even want to like. We were just like, you wanted to bring up the Aunt May death for a reason.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, like the initial Aunt May scene with Osborn.
Yeah.
And then I guess we were gonna move on to the Doctor Strange fight.
Yeah, the Doctor Strange fight, like you said, not too much to say. I wasn't hot on it.
It was kind of annoying to watch.
Yeah.
For me, it was annoying to watch because I really don't like the mirror universe effect.
Me either.
And I feel like they wasted a lot of time and money on that scene.
It's very ugly, yeah. And then the way he beats him, it's not great. I mean, I kind of like the math thing, but it's like, well, they have no explanation as to how he even gets back in his body in that scene.
No, that's the worst part of the fight, and I think it's supposed to be like, in Infinity War, when he dies, when Spider-Man dies in Infinity War, and people are like, oh, he's so powerful that he took longer to fade away, and he knew it was coming too, because of the spider sense. I feel like there's some type of thing in there where it's like, oh, his animal sense and like his super strength, like he was able to get back in. Like, no, like the Hulk got knocked out of his body. Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
That does not make sense at all.
Yeah. And
I think that's what they wanted you to think, though, but that doesn't make sense.
No, they don't explain at all. So that when that happened, I was like, oh, I did like how though when he was like, I forgot what Doctor Strange was trying to do, and the spider senses were still acting in body. I kind of like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that I liked, but he's just like, okay, then he swims back into his body. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that was like,
that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that was
not. They could have found. You have how many people working on this movie? You could have found a more interesting and smarter way to get him back into his body.
I don't think you even just maybe don't do that. I don't know.
Even have him knock out his body.
Because I'm
just saying, if they had to do that, you could have found a better way. I think.
I don't think you could. Like, what are you gonna have? Like, Spider-Man's like, oh, I already had a spider amulet that boosts my spirit. Like, I don't know what they could have done. So I don't think you should have even done that.
Yeah, maybe not.
Unless that scene's gonna end with him losing, don't do that.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't, because it's just that should be like, unless you're Magic, that should be like, you're done.
Yeah.
I can see maybe Spider-Man being able to trap him. That doesn't bother me too much.
That wasn't the very end of the fight. The annoying part to me was just Tom's annoying dialogue. That was the worst part to me. But I did kind of like that. Because that is a big part of the movie, the science over magic thing.
Yeah.
That comes up later.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
part of the movie.
Yeah, so I like that. That was cool. It's just, oh, dude, I know geometry. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like, oh, shut up. You're annoying.
But I did like the actual effect at the end. Like, because he's like running, he's like, oh, I know this spiral, this like, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I know this spiral in geometry, and he like sets up his webs. And he's like, hey, guess what? Fuck you. And then they all twist and contort and trap Doctor Strange in a web. That effect was cool.
Yeah, that
effect was cool.
That was okay. But just the fight up to that was like...
most of the fight was bad, though.
Yeah, like the train thing...
The train sucked.
Was ugly, yeah.
All the things in the mirror dimension were bad.
I
did like the initial fight. The initial part of the fight where, like, I was like, oh, Portal 2. Like, he... Basically, Spider-Man's trying to swing away, and Doctor Strange keeps putting him in portals. Yeah. He puts him in different loops and stuff. He makes him web his own foot.
I liked it when it was actually funny to me when he was like, this is why I never had kids.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Doctor Strange, and also, big spoiler. Big MCU on the whole spoiler.
Yeah.
For the whole MCU, Evan. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Doctor Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. That title belongs to Wong himself.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was
the best part of the movie.
That was simply epic.
Yeah, it was the best part
and
of the movie.
I kind of like the idea of, oh yeah, spell went wrong, and we just can't get rid of the snow now.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to have to clean it up by hand for some reason.
They have slaves, dude. They look miserable.
They had third world slaves that couldn't speak English.
That was messed up.
Oh, yeah, Wong run things a little bit differently.
Yeah, he does.
Things a little bit differently. But yeah, not too much else to say. This Doctor Strange, Spider-Man does not want to send them back home to die.
That didn't bother me too much, honestly. It didn't.
I thought it was okay. It's just like I said, all the magic and the multiverse shit makes the logic in this movie very messy. And I don't mean the logic in terms of like, oh, this character is this character should be like that. I mean the logic in terms of like, is this right or wrong? Like, to me, it never reads as like, this person's doing the right thing.
They don't make a convincing argument.
They don't.
I would agree with
exactly,
that.
Exactly.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
They don't make a convincing argument as to why he should be doing this. But just in general, when I think about myself, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't bother me that what he wants to do before he sends him back home is like, yeah, maybe
and it makes
I
sense
can help
to
you
me,
guys out instead of you just straight up dying.
Do you mind?
I'm like, you know what? Because you know what, I'm for rehabilitation over prison and death sentence. So there you go.
I think death sentence for everyone. Thanos was right. #Thanos was right. Do you think if I put that on my car, I would get like on some type of list? If I put like a Thanos was right sticker?
No, everyone would be like, oh yeah, he's so mature. He knows.
That's a mature Marvel fan. Oh, that scares me that people would think that. I wanted to mention though, in relation to that, like Tom's view on it, we had a discussion about like, oh, are the like Spider-Man's gonna have some conflict? Are they gonna agree on Tom's like decision? Mm-hmm. I think it actually does make a lot of sense that given the opportunity to sit there and work with each other and figure it out and like, kind of cure their powers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then of course they're gonna go back into the universe, into their universes, knowing like, oh yeah, like they're human now, so I don't have to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that given the opportunity, they would cure them.
Yeah, and it felt consistent for me, Toby wanting to go along with it. Like I said, I'm not big on the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, so as far as the consistency for Andrew goes, I can't really speak on it too much. Amazing Spider-Man fans,
I think for Spider-Man in general, like if they're given the opportunity, most of the time though, it's like you don't have time to sit there and analyze them because they're trying to kill you. Like
yeah.
So you have to like knock them out and put them in prison.
Yeah, but I mean like with Spider-Man 3's ending, the forgiveness thing, and just in general, even with like the scene between Peter and Doc Ock at the end too, he wasn't like, oh fuck you, Otto, like for all this. He was like, they had a human moment at the end of part 2. So for me, it felt consistent for Toby where he's like, yeah, let's not kill them. And
he was even listening to what Goblin had to say at the end of Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Even though he just threatened to like rape Mary Jane or whatever he just said.
Yeah.
He was like, I'll hear you out until the spider sense goes off.
Yeah.
So he listens to them all at the end, I guess.
It was just as far as Spider-Man 1 goes, we don't have to talk about this too much because we've already talked about Spider-Man 1. In Spider-Man 1, it read to me when he's listening to him and he was like as like shock. Like, he couldn't really even act in that moment.
Kind of shocked that Norman's talking to him.
Yeah, that this was Norman. Because Peter's face, when he sees Norman, he's like, he's barely clear, like, what the hell?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But either way, I'm just saying, like, in all his movies, he does give his villains, like, a fair shake.
Yeah. Even Eddie.
Yeah.
He was like...
He tries very deliberately not to kill Eddie.
Yeah. He kills himself. Yeah. So, that felt consistent with Toby for me. It didn't bother me at all. And... I don't remember the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Yeah, actually, didn't he cure Lizard the same way in Amazing Spider-Man 1?
He cured Lizard.
So yeah, it's fine for Andrew as well.
Yeah. Well, even if that wasn't the case, I think it's consistent for any like person with a like not with a Punisher Batman type outlook, but someone with like a Superman Spider-Man type outlook. Yeah. It makes sense for them to like, oh, given the opportunity, I'll try and cure them.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So what were we talking about? Where are we in the movie about?
Okay.
So, Doctor Strange is trapped, so he can't send the villains back. And Spider-Man now has the opportunity to cure the villains like he wanted.
He lets them all out, and for some reason, they just kind of go with it. Because they didn't want to die. There is that. But it's like, I don't know. Electro, he was a little too calm in that moment, I guess. Because we were talking about this. Like Electro, up to this point, is like the most deliberately like evil.
He literally keeps saying he's like,
I could get used to this
like,
power. Yeah,
he's like the power in this universe is different, and he's like, if you fuck up, I'm killing you.
Yeah.
Like dude, like play it a little.
He was the
cool.
most straight up evil.
Play it
up to that
cool,
point.
Yeah.
And then Norman is like being like, yeah. He was acting like Norman Osborn, so he was like, okay, I'll go with it. And the rest of them, Doc Ock, he wasn't going with it, but he had control of his arm, so he couldn't attack him.
Spider-Man had his Bluetooth.
Yeah.
He could control.
He couldn't attack him. And then Lizard, he was kind of the same as Electro. He's like, well, I don't want to die, so I'm like, okay, I'll just go along with it.
And then what happens at this point? He just takes them to Happy's apartment.
Yeah, and they start working. Yeah, he by himself. He starts trying to work on a cure for each of them, and he cures Otto first, which I liked because I was like, Otto already got his big set piece early in the movie, a really good one too. So it's like you don't need him for when all the villains turn later.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Norman talking to Electro, I think, and all of a sudden you hear his voice change. That's when you realize the Goblin was coming out, and that's why for me it's like, I don't know, was he just trying to manipulate him up to the point to like let him out, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, get into a scenario where they could, where
he could bust out.
Problems or something.
Yeah, who knows?
How the fuck did he? What did he even do in that scene? How does he get his glider and stuff? I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
Because it don't matter.
We're about to rewatch, though. Like I said, we'll rewatch. But yeah, he's working on the cure, and Doc Ock gets cured. Oh, and there's also, he talked to Electro, and you realize the Goblin's coming out, and he also talked to Otto. Otto's like, dude, Norman, you're about to be cured. Like, Otto's normal again. He's like, Norman, you're about to be cured. Like, oh, congratulations, or whatever. And then Norman's like, yeah, or something like that. Like, you can tell it's like, okay, the Goblin's coming out.
Yeah, it's like that weird, like, he changes from, like, just kind of a humble, like, nice guy that's, like, really frazzled. Like, he switches to, like, really confident.
Yeah.
And really, like, yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, this moment was great when Peter's Spidey sense started acting up. And it was, like, acting up hard as fuck.
That's, like, maybe, like, that's one of my top, like, MCU Spider-Man moments.
I would agree,
and
yeah.
Maybe, like, one of my favorite Spider-Man moments,
and
too.
And when it started, I turned to Dylan, I was like, oh, it has to be Norman. It has to be. But they make you think for a second. Like, yeah, they make you lingers on it. Because he's just standing there in the background, not doing anything.
He kind of looks around at all the villains.
Yeah.
And it gives you, like, a brief moment of, like, which one's about to hit him.
Yeah,
like, which one's about to attack. And it passes over all of them, including Norman.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at Evan and I was like, is there a sixth one?
Yeah.
Like, I think, do you think that was deliberate, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
For a sixth one?
They let you think about it. I don't know if it's that necessarily.
Because it almost lets you rule out everyone in the room.
Yeah.
So you think, oh, maybe. But I think more than anything, it just wants you to be like, oh, which one of them is it going to be that attacks him? And of course, it's...
I knew if it was any of them, it had to be Norman.
It's the Slavic Goblin.
Yeah. And this leads to what's personally my favorite scene in the entire movie. The Goblin just comes out fully, and you get, like, one of the best MCU action scenes, I think. And this dude, Norman, just beats the shit out of fucking Tom. And it was funny. We were talking about this. At this moment, all the villains are just kind of like, oh, yeah, fuck it. Let's just go wild. That was cool. They're like, oh, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah,
we don't need to be cured.
It's kind of like in school when the teacher leaves or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like...
and that one bad kid does some shit. Yeah, the rest of the kids act up,
yeah,
too.
it's kind of like that.
Like, Lizard was left in the van for whatever reason, like you're talking about this. And
that was weird.
I guess he senses what's going on.
He hears it.
Yeah.
No, because the fight eventually gets taken down to the street.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, fuck it.
Yeah, he just breaks out. And they all go wild.
He's like, this is what we doing now.
Yeah. So that was funny to me. Yeah, that was good. And just the whole action scene, great. And so Goblin has some, like, really great lines in that whole scene.
Yeah, he does.
Where he's just like, it reminded me of Spider-Man 1. He's like, yeah, Peter, you have this power and you're bullshitting. Fuck you. You don't deserve it. I'm going to fucking murder you. That reminded me of Spider-Man 1. So that was great. He's like, yeah, you're using this power for bullshit. So that was good. Just that whole scene was really great.
Yeah, it's a great action scene. And it's really like, there's not really any gimmicks. Like, it's just... It's pretty much hand to hand. And one thing I thought about, too, is like, in Homecoming, they were like, Spider-Man doesn't hit anyone in this movie with their fucking stupid bullshit.
They switched up on that.
Yeah, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because there's two, like, hardcore like hand-to-hand situations
Yeah, and
in this movie.
we were saying that about the Doc Ock scene, like, oh, they're kind of brutal. Especially this scene is brutal as fuck. Yeah. He just beats the shit out of him, and then what comes later is also the same. They all escape, the villains escape, Goblin escapes, and then he murders Aunt May. Yeah. She's, like, running with his serum, I guess. It didn't even work, right? Didn't they hit him with it? Oh, she hits him with it after she gets, like, hit with the glider, and it doesn't work.
For some reason, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he like after he turned evil in the lab, he like sabotaged it.
It's possible, I guess.
We're about to rewatch it, so I guess we'll find out.
But I do kind of like that. In that case, it's like, oh, well, Toby knows the Goblin. He knows what's up, so they needed him
to do it.
Yeah. I like
maybe,
that.
Maybe they just didn't have enough time at that point. He didn't know enough.
Yeah. So I like that Toby was the one who helped with the Goblin serum, because he actually mentions that. He's like, yeah, this had been something I've been thinking about for a while. So yeah, that was cool. Once all the villains escape, and Aunt May dies,
and then one thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
When Goblin blew up the police cars, I laughed.
You did laugh, because it was so like Spider-Man 1. Seriously,
yeah, it was genuinely like, it was that, and it's just like, when it like, it's not even me laughing at like, oh ho ho, there's a plot hole.
Yeah.
But it's just like, when did this dude put bombs outside? Because I don't think he...
oh, no, he had the pumpkin bombs.
Does he drop pumpkin bombs?
Yeah, he throws the pumpkin bombs at them.
For some reason, I thought he just clicked something and they blew
up.
Oh,
no. Okay, I can see why you laughed hard as fuck now. No. He flies out and he throws the pumpkin bombs at them.
Either way, though, it is still funny just because it's so gratuitous.
Yeah.
And we don't see that a lot in the MCU.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it reminded me of Spider-Man 1.
Spider-Man 1-ish. Yeah, where this guy's just a terrorist.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorist Norman Osborn strikes again.
So yeah, that was good. And then we kind of talked about Aunt May's death scene, but do you want to mention why you didn't like it?
Well, so I don't like Gamora's death in Infinity War, and I don't like Black Widow's death in Endgame for the same reasons. They are very melodramatic and they're very drawn out.
This one definitely drawn out.
And this was like, I would put those all in the same bucket. Like, they're pretty much the same type of thing. Like, it's the same exact reason that I don't like them all.
Yeah.
They're this I liked slightly more than the other two I mentioned. Yeah. Because it's a little more real. And I guess like the walking corpse syndrome thing is like, that's definitely a way to do it. Yeah. And I kind of like how it takes them both a minute to accept it. But like a huge part I don't like about it though is like the whole power responsibility line.
Yeah, do you mind if I talk about it for you?
Go ahead.
That was what I really didn't like about this scene. The rest of it didn't bother me too much. I'm just like, okay, she dies. It makes sense, like you said, that she's like trying to hold on, I guess. That didn't bother me. But then it gets to this, and the way they do it's so unnatural. That's why I didn't like it. Like, they make a point to like stop, and she's like, I'm grabbing Dylan's shoulder for those, get a visual representation. She like stops and she looks at me. She's like, with great power must come great responsibility. And it just feels so unnatural. You know, it's like they stop everything for her to drop that line. And I didn't like it for that reason. It's just like, in Spider-Man 1, Uncle Ben's giving him the speech and then it just kind of comes out very naturally. Whereas this, it's like they make a point to make it like a showstopper, which I didn't like at all.
In Spider-Man 1, he's trying to put a point on what he's saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's trying to just like concisely sum up what he was trying to explain to Peter. Yeah, and then in this movie, she just kind of says it.
Yeah. Because she wasn't really, like, she was kind of telling him something before that. But it's like, it wasn't, I don't know. What do you think?
No,
she wasn't saying, like, a whole lot. And then she kind of just randomly drops the line.
I think it could have been cool. It would have been cool if the only person that said it was Toby.
It's just, that line is so distinct. And it's such a, not something someone would like, say off the top of their head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's so well written, you know, that it's very hard to play a line like that naturally.
Yeah.
And that's why it's done so well in Spider-Man 1. Whereas in this, it's like, yeah, they kind of just did it in a fan service way.
It's like, here's the line.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's like not... Yeah, it's very similar to what I was saying about Tom actually experiencing his own, like, loved one's death.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, like, Uncle Ben is, like, unmentioned and, like, unloved.
Yeah.
So he's not here, so we can't show him die, but let's show Aunt May die and let's have her say it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just like I was saying, like she's just the Uncle Ben.
Yeah, that's what they do with it. That's all the point of it was. And I don't know, like I said, for me, it's just like, I'm not crazy about her taking that role, because up to this point, like I said, she's been such a non-character. And then I feel like in Far From Home, she wasn't really on that Uncle Ben shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like this Aunt May would be like, yeah, let's have a press tour for Spider-Man, like she was in Far From Home or whatever. Oh, him accepting the award. You know what I mean? That doesn't seem like
it wasn't
wholly
like a press tour.
It was like him accepting an award or whatever.
No, it was him. It was him trying to, what's the word? Like endorse Feast. That's what it was.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I don't like that. Just seemed weird to me. That
I feel like it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's not like you get the indication that this woman's ready to die for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a jump from like, oh yeah, like you can use your little character to like help my thing. We're both doing good stuff, like whatever.
Yeah.
But in this, it's kind of a hard turn to like, I'm dying, like, but you're doing the right thing. Yeah. It's kind of like a hard turn, and also they don't really build up to it.
Yeah.
Or at least they don't build up to it effectively, I don't think. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it either. And I think also, even though I don't like the scene, I think if she said something else, it would have worked a little better.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, just because her death in general didn't really bother me too much. I thought it was okay. Just have her say something more natural, and then, like you said, Toby can kind of round about it with what was told to him later in that scene. It would something
be cool,
like that. Yeah,
it would be cool if like Toby, and also they could maybe do this. It would work maybe in two ways, where Toby says, "Oh well, you shouldn't give up. With great power comes great responsibility." Obviously, not exactly that, but he says, "With great power comes great responsibility." And then Tom could like sharply, like quickly look up at him.
Yeah,
and you could read that as like, did his Uncle Ben say that to him, or is he interpreting that as like, oh, he pretty much just said
what Aunt May was trying
to tell me?
Yeah, I think that would have been a lot better. I think it would have been a lot better if they did something like that, for sure.
But yes, not a huge fan of the Aunt May line. Is that all you had to say about it?
Yeah. But I wanted to say, well, I already said, but yeah, her death scene in general though didn't bother me. Just I didn't like the line. That was all.
It's just too melodramatic for me. I think they have this whole thing.
I would agree with that, where it lingers. Yeah, that's weird.
They have this whole thing in Disney movies where every like when you do a death, it just has to be like so over the top. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't like that. And I'm not saying it should be over in a second, but it's just too melodramatic for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, after the death, I do like the next part where well, of course, right after this, Toby and Andrew come, right?
Yeah, because
right after
they realized like, what was it? They realized they didn't know where Peter was at, or they realized something terrible had happened. All the villains escaped, and they're like, "Yeah, where is Peter?"
Oh, right. So
they're trying to find him.
There was something where so of course, Doctor Strange had a little device he was going to use that would send everyone back and return the universe to normal, but that would kill the villains. So Spider-Man traps him. And so they still have the device now, and Peter gives it to MJ and Ned.
Yeah.
And he says, if I don't text you soon, just click the button. Like, it means something bad happened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, something bad happens, and he doesn't text them.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we gotta find Peter. They don't want to just press the button because they know it's important.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to find him instead. And earlier, Ned stole an ancient mystical relic that allows him to teleport. And so he say, Peter, and he uses the little magical, the sling ring specifically from Doctor Strange. He takes, whatever.
Ned, they mentioned it earlier, but apparently Ned has magic in his family, so he's able to use it. Not just anybody can grab the ring and just start doing it.
They can.
Yeah.
Though.
Can they?
In Doctor Strange, that's how it works. Anyone can do it.
Okay, well, they kind of make a point in this, that's not the point.
They give you a slight in to, like let it go.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, fine, that makes sense. But I actually thought that line was kind of funny. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, this dude Ned, like, walking into the sanctum, and he's like, I heard my grandma said we're magic. Like, it was kind of funny to me, but yeah, so basically Ned's the person that brings Peter and Toby, Andrew and Toby, Spider-Man's. So he used the sling ring. He say, "Bring me Peter Parker."
Yeah, and then Andrew pops out first.
And then Andrew's in an alley, and he walk up and he say, "Hey." I don't know what he says.
He realized he's in a different world.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's going on?" Basically, yeah. And they're like, "What the hell?" They don't believe that he's Spider-Man at first. I don't know why you don't. Because you know, all these other villains from different worlds have already come. The dude has his Spider-Man's. I mean, I don't know. You were looking for Peter Parker, and then you found this guy, and he insists that you're from a different world. It's kind of weird that you don't believe it immediately.
Yeah, and they know that the multiverse shit, but who knows if there's like an evil one? Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine, I guess.
And then, well, even when he puts his hand on the ceiling, they still don't believe him. I was like, okay, it was a little drawn out. I guess I should say that. Yeah, it was drawn out. And they're like, no, crawl over there. I thought it was stupid. His refusal to do anything. Like, he didn't want to catch it, and then he didn't want to crawl. I'm like, that definitely started becoming drawn out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like...
it was a bit drawn out. And there's one thing that I want to steal from Grace Randolph, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a few parts, and that's one of them, where it feels like an SNL sketch.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's, like, shot very flat, and it's, like, kind of feels like riffing. Like, it doesn't feel like a well-written joke.
Yeah,
it feels like riffing. So there's a couple moments like that here and there, but... I do like Andrew's little introduction, I guess.
Yeah, it was. I kind of mentioned this. I was kind of on Andrew Garfield in this movie.
But I like that he's the one that gets like played around with. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one that gets goofed on. He's the one that Zendaya gets the boss around.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, I like that.
I was on him throughout the movie. He did have a couple of moments though that I did enjoy. And then, of course.
And then who comes?
Oh, Tobey Maguire.
Oh.
Mr. Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire.
Tobin.
Yeah, he comes out because Ned tries again. He's like, okay, I didn't find the right Peter Parker. Let me try again. And then Tobey comes out. I loved how it is an introduction. He came out in his, like, dorky-ass clothes. I'm like, oh, that feels exactly like the Raimi movies, like him in his nerdy-ass dork clothes. That was awesome. And then
and they're not like cute Abercrombie nerd clothes like Tom wears.
Yeah, no, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're actually like nerdy.
Yeah.
Because Tom will wear those like cute little sweaters.
If not some Big Bang Theory shit.
Yeah. It's like some actual like.
He's a dweeb.
I actually thought I saw like, you know how professors have those jackets with the patches.
No, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like, probably if you showed me, I know, but I don't know what you mean.
There's like certain jackets where there's like a rectangular, like pretty big patch on the elbow.
Oh, I kind of know what you mean.
I thought I saw Tobey wearing that for a second, but I don't think that's what he's wearing though. But that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes out with his dorky clothes on. And he say, "Hey."
Oh yeah, he also realized that he is a different world, and I guess he saw in the news that this Peter Parker's doing whatever. And Ned and MJ are associated with him. So he saw them on the news, and he said, oh, yeah, I was looking for you guys. Yeah. Who knows where the hell they were, both respectively. I guess somewhere in New York, but...
Yeah, but I guess it's weird. It's very weird to me, and you told me you like this line. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Oh, where I don't go around telling everyone my superhero identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that was like... It felt like it was deliberately referencing the Raimi movies and kind of mocking MCU Spider-Man where everyone knows his identity.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I fuck with that.
It was strange that Andrew... Because I guess you do want to play it that way, and that's like a good joke or whatever. Yeah. Why the fuck was he in a Spider-Man suit? Walking around.
Yeah, I don't...
Like, maybe he got teleported in and that's like what the clothes he had.
I'm going to say, yeah, it could be
I don't know.
Possibly he got teleported while he was doing some Spider-Man shit.
Yeah.
Or he just wanted to go around using his powers... Not looking normal, you know what I mean? Where Tobey was probably, you know, he was at home with MJ just chilling, and he got sucked in. I want to know. I really wish we got a chance to see both of their respective worlds.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That was kind of a missed opportunity. Because it'd be interesting to see MJ being like, dude, where the hell were you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why in Christ's name did we get a Venom post-credits and not like a quick post-credits with like Andrew and Tobey's
That would have been that actually would have been a pretty good post-credits. Yeah. Just have them both at home for a second.
We don't even need any VFX.
Yeah.
Like, literally just have Tobey go home and like talk to his dog.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like,
or talk to MJ. Like, I'd have Kirsten Dunst.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if they wanted to spend no money.
Yeah.
Which, of course, she deserves it. I almost call her Mary Jane Watson. Jesus. Fucking Kirsten Dunst. She's worth the money, of course. And I think Emma Stone would be, too. Well,
she's dead.
Okay.
The thing is, I don't know who Andrew... Well, they have... His Aunt May... I guess he could still go to his
Probably
Aunt May.
Maybe still alive, but...
Well, both of the actresses who played Aunt May are both alive. So,
or you could even
that could be a thing, but... that's besides
you could
the
do
point
some shit
anyways.
where they're at their job and it's like actors that aren't necessarily like
yeah
from those movies, or you could do any number of things. I would like to see their life, wherever they are.
At least with Toby at the very, that was a big missed opportunity, not showing Mary Jane.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. For Andrew, there's
it would have been really
reasons.
cool for Zendaya to see her.
Yeah, that would have been
like
cool.
when and they choose to do this effect at the end where it's not a portal like always. Like it's like they just evaporate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
But then again, up until this point, have we seen portals from literally a different universe?
Or I don't know. We have in What If, technically.
It wasn't What If?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think they're like Doctor Strange portals. I could be wrong.
I really don't remember.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
You might be right. I don't know.
It was just an interesting choice, I guess.
That didn't really bother me. It seemed like it bothered you, but for me, I didn't.
Well,
I thought it was fine.
I wouldn't say it was a problem.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if they did want to do like, Toby's waving goodbye, and it's like, oh, there's Kirsten Dunst in the background in the portal. Like, you can't do that if they evaporate.
Yeah.
It's just like a weird choice.
Yeah.
So what do we talk about now?
So yeah, they're all. Now we've seen all of them together.
Yeah. So Toby there. What did he say? He said pizza time.
Thank God he didn't say that. That would have been not great. There's an earlier line where Norman says, I'm something of a scientist myself. And I was like, oh, why?
Yeah.
You didn't need that. That's another, kind of like the great power comes great responsibility thing. It's just so unnatural.
That one I would say is significantly more unnatural.
Yeah.
Because I could see like them building towards that scene is like, she's trying to convey that message. Let's use that line. Maybe it doesn't play perfectly, but the I'm a scientist, that's like verbatim just a meme.
Exactly. It's like where they're... That's how I felt with the great power, great responsibility thing. Not that it's a meme, but it's like, they're like, ooh, look, we said the line. And this point, it's like, ooh, look, we said the funny meme. You know what I mean?
But I think the meme is worse because it's like...
Because it's a meme?
It is a meme. That's worse. But the part where that scene, like, whether she said it or not, she would have said something to that effect.
Yeah.
But in that part, they just threw that in. And that's one thing that we've talked about. In that scene... They all already know he's a scientist. Yeah. So, yeah, Norman, we know.
And also, it reminds me of what you said in the Spider-Man 1 episode, where it's like, you laugh at these things in the Raimi movies because it's like, well, we do laugh at them in retro, but we laugh at it because it's like so real. Remember you said that in the Spider-Man 1 episode? Yeah. Whereas in the MCU, it's like always like self-deprecating or self-referential.
Something ironic or something.
Yeah, and that's what they do with it in this. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a natural thing.
Definitely. Yeah, because like in Spider-Man 1, it's just like...
I'm trying to remember exactly what you said about why those movies were funny.
Yeah. That's
you remember?
Well, I went on a big rant about it, I'm sure. It's just something I believe about in general. Like, any movie you see really with memes that's not like current. Yeah. Like something with some longevity that's like, oh, that's always funny. Yeah. It's something earnest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what you were saying pretty much.
Yeah.
And then in this, it wasn't.
The MCU movies' humor are just completely like ironic type of humor, which I don't like.
But anyways, I only brought that up because you said Toby said pizza time. Thank God he didn't. It's like, unless it was
what if he had pizza?
No, because unless it literally like is on that Avengers 1 shit where they're eating the shawarma together. Yeah. For some reason, Andrew and Toby are still in the universe at the end, and like they order pizza, and he's like, pizza time. That would have been kind of funny.
That would have been okay. Yeah. I would have let that go. What would you do if it would be so fucking stupid? Like if he teleported in and like the grandma's eating a piece of pizza and he's like, pizza time. Points at her.
That would have been okay. That's different. That's a little bit different.
So stupid. So what were we talking about? So real quick, I guess they just do a bit of talking in that scene. There's a bit of like Spider-Man humor, but the cool part too is like after just the reveals, I guess. But they fight.
They have a quick standoff.
They briefly have a little sparring. Going on.
I wouldn't even say that. For me, it's like a standoff. You know what I mean?
I don't think it was that serious.
What I mean is they don't spar. Spar to me is like I think like hand to hand. Well, I think standoff like like in a western.
Well, it's with the web shooters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You get what I mean? That's why it's like a standoff.
But I think a standoff implies something more serious.
Oh no. I just mean like in a western.
It's not hands.
They shoot. Like shoot real quick.
Because I think I mean they do it in Spider-Verse. Like other spider people set off their spider sense. Yeah. I think that's what it was. Or maybe it was just Toby seeing his costume.
I think he was thinking, like, oh, this guy was a fraud or something. Because he's like, wait, that's not the Spider-Man I'm looking for. I don't know. We'll see a rewatch. But anyways.
I guess for me, it kind of read like Spider-Verse, where it's like, they kind of like, oh, like this is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But also, it could have also just been Toby saw his costume, and then also Andrew just heard Ned say it was Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So I think they were just testing each other real quick, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically what it was.
And Toby gets the best of him, which is awesome.
The Chad organic webbing wins, of course. He
webs his Andrew's arm to the table or whatever. That was awesome.
Yeah, he gets his web shooter.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
So yeah, that's dope. And then I wanted to mention this. They bring Andrew and Toby to Peter. It's
I think was it MJ who realized? Oh, I think I know where he's at. Is at the top.
Well,
of that
Toby asked like, "Oh, is there anywhere he might go for some solace or like somewhere to think?" And it's like on top of Midtown High.
Really quick, I did like that quick piece of dialogue also where. Toby's like, for me it was the Chrysler Building, and then Andrew was like, yeah, it was the Empire. Yeah, I like that a lot, and I like when he's like, that is a great view.
Yeah,
I like when that's awesome.
I like getting a little insight on them. And it's cool to see them too when they're not the main character. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's because obviously like those movies are very cinematic. They're very like focused on those Peter Parkers. So it's interesting to see them have like small talk.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily just with each other. But in a Spider-Man way, being like, oh yeah, like I like the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
It's cool. It's a unique moment. But I really like, and it's kind of cool also, not to give Tom Spider-Man or John Watts or anyone too much credit, but I think it's kind of cute that his favorite place is Midtown High, like the roof.
Yeah, because they kind of show that earlier when he's like laying on top with MJ on top.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I wish we could just stay up here."
Yeah. So
and like I said, I do like Zendaya and Tom's relationship in this movie.
Yeah, it's significantly better in this than it was in Far From Home. I would say because I didn't like it in Far From Home.
Yeah,
which we talked about in the MCU ranked episode. That was a big portion when we talked about the MCU. When we talked about Far From Home in the episode. So if you care about my thoughts on that, you should go watch that episode.
Yeah. But it's just cute to me that his favorite place is like a very personal.
Yeah, I like that.
Place. And it makes sense that he would kind of want to, like, be attached to something.
Yeah.
Like, be attached to something familiar in that moment, and also he was like.
Yeah, because it reminded me of when, I don't know if that was the Chrysler Building in Spider-Man 1 after Uncle Ben died and the murderer dude fell out the window. He was sitting on the gargoyle.
Right.
It reminds me of that, yeah.
I think it was the Chrysler Building.
Was it? Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I don't know New York buildings, sorry.
Me either.
Yeah, so.
I was actually thinking, can I go on a quick tangent?
Yeah, of course.
I was thinking about it would be so cool if there was like a GTA game. You know how they're always loosely based on a real city?
Yeah.
It'd be cool if there was an Atlanta one. But then I was thinking like, do I even know like the landmarks to enjoy that? I don't know. But yeah, we're based out of Georgia for the one person that's watching that doesn't know us personally.
I think we have mentioned that before.
Oh, okay.
About us being.
Well, yeah, rep Atlanta, rep ATL. I'm an ATL until I die. But
Definitely.
Anyways, yeah, I just really, it's kind of a small thing in this movie, but I really like the roof of the high school being his like kind of his safe place. I really also like when they go there to see Tom because they realize like, oh, he's there.
This was the scene where I teared up when they.
Well, you did it for the Spider-Mans, but right.
When they all just pull up to go meet Tom.
Yeah.
That was what, I don't know, I just like that whole thing. That made me emotional.
Well, that whole thing, but more specifically for me, just them kind of just quietly like walking over to hug Tom. I really like that.
Yeah.
Like Ned and MJ, and then of course his two spider friends are nearby as well. That's a really touching moment because it just feels like his personal friends are there to like console him, but now he also has like epic help.
Yeah.
You know,
I actually want to say I also really liked his reaction to seeing them. He didn't go like, "Oh my God, there's two other like." He saw them. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Just leave. I don't want any more part of this." I actually like that a lot
because that's an actually like.
Because he knew who they were, and he's just like, "I don't want any more of this." He said, "I'm sorry, I got you guys involved in this. Just
that's
leave."
Great.
Yeah,
that's great.
I really like that a lot.
And that's not something Tom would do.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Sorry, sometimes I say Tom interchangeably with Peter because that's Tom Spider-Man. I don't like.
In this case, it's better because there's literally 3 of them. So it's very difficult.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to speak on Tom as a person when I say something like that. It's just his character.
Yeah.
So that's not something that Tom Spider-Man would really ever do.
Yeah.
Like if he ever sees anything the audience would like, he goes, "Awesome!"
Yeah, exactly. It's like, the Avengers. But in this moment, he sees the other Spider-Man. He's just like, I don't want anything to do with you.
He's given the chance to act like a fucking Spider-Man would.
Yeah.
Because if you caught Spider-Man on a bad day, if you caught Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 2 and he had like some like other superheroes coming, he'd be like, fuck off.
Yeah. Literally in Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, when he tried to join the Fantastic Four, he does not give a fuck about them at all. He only literally joined because he's trying to get money. He, for some reason, is actually really funny. He thinks the Fantastic Four are like getting paid to do what they do.
Yeah, because they have the building and they have the suits and they're famous. Like,
and he's trying to join the Fantastic Four to make money for Aunt May, because after Uncle Ben died, it's like Spider-Man 2, Aunt May can't really make ends meet. So he's trying to join the Fantastic Four for that. And then he finds out that they don't get paid. And he said, oh, really? He's like, okay, I don't care. And he immediately leaves. That was really funny to me. So it was kind of similar to that. Except that's obviously way more like comedic. In this case, it's not a comedic scene whatsoever.
But yeah, like Spider-Man generally is not impressed.
Yeah.
He's not impressed by you.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before. It's like he doesn't really want to get involved with other super people.
Yeah.
Just in general, yeah.
Well, of course he does because for money, but
for like you say, he's not impressed. That's what I mean.
Yeah, he's not impressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like in a circumstantial way, if he has to team up with someone, he will.
Yeah.
But he's not like, whoa, Wolverine, your claws are really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not even something we've talked about before, but that moment is actually really cool.
But it's like in like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, it's completely different from the MCU, because like he's extremely resistant to joining the Avengers. He does not want to join them at all.
In the Ultimates?
Yeah, in Ultimate Spider-Man. I think it's just that way in Amazing Spider-Man also, but I don't know. I haven't read up to that point. But in Ultimate Spider-Man, he doesn't want to join at all. It's Nick Fury who keeps trying to get him in, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's that because we've talked a lot about this movie already.
Yeah,
we saw it a few days ago, but that's something we haven't talked about yet, and it's something that's maybe one of the coolest parts of the movie.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. His reaction then. Yeah, that was really good. That was done really well.
Well, that's like so. There's like a few parts in this movie where they show some restraint, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and the way he kind of comes around to them is like, cause he's like, he feels like complete shit, and he's like, yeah, you guys don't know what that feels like. That's what he says to them. Well, of course, anybody who's seen Raimi's Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man, no, these guys definitely know what it's like to have gone through some bullshit. This man has never went through any shit like that until one movie. Both of them went through shit in all their movies.
Yeah.
So they're like, they immediately call him out on that. They're like, yeah, no, we've had our share of losses.
But I don't think that's like, it's not really that bad on Tom, because I think anyone...
No, I'm not saying that.
Outside of any Spider-Man superhero bullshit, like in real life, in that moment, you don't want to be talked to like...
Yeah.
You don't want to be talked to like that. Like, you want to just express your grief.
Yeah.
Like, if someone, like, let's say if someone passes away that I know, the first thing I don't want to hear is like, oh yeah, like, that happened to me too. Like,
well, they don't even say it like that necessarily. They're like, yeah, sorry about May.
No, Andrew's like, well, I can tell you I've been through something like that. And he's like, no. So I can't
remember exactly what they said. Yeah.
Andrew's about to say, like, Tom cuts him off, but Andrew's about to say, like, oh, I've been through something with this and this, and then he cuts him off.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like...
I mean, they don't specifically go like, oh, someone I love died right away.
Yeah.
They do that immediately after, but yeah.
But I just don't think it's... I don't think it's supposed to be like, oh, like, Tom Spider-Man is the most tortured. I just think...
No. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Yeah, no. For me, it was like... They're just being like, no, we definitely have gone through bullshit too. And very similar bullshit, yeah. No, I wasn't even trying to imply that. I feel like it was the complete opposite. It was saying like...
I don't think they were siding with either of them, really.
I wouldn't say they're taking sides. I just mean like... They're not being like, no, oh my god, he has it so bad. Like, I was not implying that at all. This whole scene, I was done really well. I'm not shitting on it whatsoever. I guess I should say that.
Oh, okay.
For me, it's just like, as the viewer, just in a completely meta way, we're like, no, we know they definitely know what this feels like. It's just a joke, yeah.
But I just think, I guess I already said this, but just to put a bow on it, we can move on a little bit. I don't know. I think that scene was played pretty realistically.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though you're saying, like, you can read it as like, oh, well, we know. Like, Uncle Ben's died too.
Yeah.
But it was played in like a realistic kind of way, I think, where he's just very grief stricken in that moment.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I actually really like this scene a lot.
Okay, yeah.
And then, yeah, when they both talk about Uncle Ben, And well, I think
Andrew Caps.
Yeah, Andrew. Well, yeah, I think he started talking about No, what did Peter say after that? Peter being Toby, he's like, yeah, I lost my Uncle Ben, and then I think he told me, yeah, he tried. No, because sorry, this is all over the place. Tom expresses that like he wants to go and kill Goblin. I think.
Yeah, he does.
He expresses that, and then Toby's like saying, yeah, you don't want to go down that path. I thought finding the guy who killed my Uncle Ben would help me get over this feeling, but it didn't.
He says it only gets worse. I
think.
And then Andrew, this is interesting.
Yes,
this is, what Andrew says after that is like the only like new piece of lore that we get about the Raimi or Tasm universes. He says that after Gwen died, he stopped pulling his punches and he was more brutal.
Yeah,
which also makes sense, kind of like
it didn't give him the peace
like
he thought it would. Yeah.
I guess it fits with like what Tom's feeling, what Toby expressed about Spider-Man 1. And it's like, oh, I wanted to be more, or I started getting more brutal.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really the only new piece of information we learned.
Yeah, kind of.
Is there anything else?
Well, Peter saying later about MJ, he's like, oh, we made it work.
Oh,
yeah.
And also,
but that's like, we all knew. Yeah, we figured. We assumed that, Peter and MJ, they're still together.
But
I did like that line though.
I guess that is also a new piece of information that Peter's like, oh yeah, I always thought about doing a Goblin anti-venom.
Yeah,
like,
I like that too.
That also really is a new piece of information, I guess. I wonder if you ever fought a hobgoblin. I guess we'll never know. But yeah, that seems good.
Yeah, the whole bonus, and then they Toby tells Tom that my Uncle Ben told me something, basically the same thing that Aunt May told you about with great power comes great responsibility. And Andrew Caps, like we said, because he's like, Uncle Ben said that. Yeah, he agrees. Like, yeah, Uncle Ben said that. I think they both say Uncle Ben at the same time, Toby and Andrew, something like that. And for those of you who've seen the Amazing Spider-Man 1, his Uncle Ben definitely does not say
that's Cap. You know that's Cap, Andrew. Come on now.
But it's fine. In a roundabout way, Martin Sheen, Uncle Ben said that. But
yeah, there's a few things in this movie that kind of hand wave.
Yeah.
They're like when Toby or Andrew or one of the villains is kind of explaining their backstory or something, we don't need the specifics necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. In the moment, you can kind of just...
Yeah, it would have actually made the scene worse if Andrew was like,
well, actually, he said blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that would have been a lot worse, yeah.
He said,
so it's fine. It didn't bother me. It's just funny because for me and you at least, it's funny because we actively made fun of Martin Sheen's Uncle Ben line before. So when we see that, it's like, okay, it's funny.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking taking away from the scene at all.
And also, like, probably if that was like, let's say those were real people, if Andrew's Peter Spider-Man is probably like, I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot if I explain that's not exactly what he said.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's like, oh yeah, we all got the gist of it. So
yeah, it's fine.
It's not an issue.
It's fine. Yeah, and that kind of lends to what you were saying about Aunt May, where she didn't really need to directly say that line.
Yeah,
they all could have just had it said to them, just differently
in their universes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it also makes it weird that like. That is a confirmation that Uncle Ben did not say it.
Yeah.
But Aunt May did.
Which we were wrong in our prediction video. We thought, because we were pretty much right, and this was without spoilers, in our first prediction video.
Yeah, our first ever episode.
Yeah, we were like, oh, I think the way the three of them will come together is over the death of Uncle Ben. Yeah. And we were pretty much right on that, except for him, it was Aunt May. But that's what brings them together.
And then, in probably like a more of a specific way than we probably even thought about.
Yeah. So that was good. That whole scene, I really liked it a lot. Definitely one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
And so after that, Tom kind of takes him in, I guess. It's his world, so he takes him in.
Yeah, we go to then where they start working on the formulas.
Yeah,
and there's some good stuff in there. There's some good jokes and some good moments.
Yeah, this is like when they're working on the cure. It's just purely fan service. Like, as far as the dialogue between them goes, it's like, oh, we get some little jokes about how they're different, all that. So that was all really good. As far as the fan service thing goes, it was good.
Yeah, Ned, I like that Ned joke where he's like, oh yeah, you're both of your best friends like turn evil. That's a good joke. I like that.
I was talking. Another shout out to Kevin. Once again, every Spider-Man episode I bring him up because we also are two people who talk about the Spider-Man movies a lot. he was like, I felt the same way when I was watching. It's like, I don't really know how I feel about them making Harry's death a joke. But like you said, we also kind of talked about that, me and you. It was fine just to... He doesn't need... It'll slow the scene down tremendously if he has to go into deep explanation about what happened to Harry.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's turned into a joke, but it's never a joke to Toby's Peter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a joke to Ned either. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... It's kind of more of a... like in earnest joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost more of a real joke like that, where there's nothing like... They're not making fun of themselves.
Yeah.
They are a little bit.
It's just extreme. Like, he's like... Toby's like... Yeah, I had a best friend. He tried to kill me, and then he died in my arms. So, yeah. It was funny, but yeah, it's not like... Yeah. You know, it is a bit earnest. Yeah, I would agree. And they don't... It sums up quickly what happened, which is fine. Yeah, that's all they needed to do. So it didn't bother me too much.
Yeah, and then what does Andrew do? He's like I think Ned, he's like, what about you? And he's like, yeah.
No. What happens is Ned brings it up, the best friend thing, going evil. And Andrew, I actually like this. It's very subtle. Andrew just pats him on the back.
Oh.
Yeah, Ned. And it's like he's kind of acknowledging that happened to him too. I like that he didn't go like, yeah, the same thing happened to me. It's just a very subtle acknowledgement of his Harry as well. So that was cool. And yeah, just some dialogue that you said there was a cute moment in that scene you liked.
Yeah,
with,
I do like
MJ.
the moment with MJ has some good moments in this movie.
Definitely her best turn as MJ. I 100% agree.
I like a lot when it just felt like a real kind of relationship type moment. Yeah. Where
the three of them are working on the
basically they all have their heads down working, Toby, Andrew, and Tom, and Zendaya's like, Peter, and they all look up and they do the thing. Oh yeah. Which that's not what I like about it. But they do the kind of Spider-Man meme where it's Spider-Man pointing at himself. That's not why I bring it up. But I just
do it so funny.
And then or wait, is that even what I'm talking about?
I think it's a little bit before that.
Oh, it is before that.
I think she's still like looking at Tom. He's like, what?
Okay.
She's like just looking at him and she's like, oh, it's just there's three of you.
I started explaining like the wrong part.
Yeah, that's like right after.
Yeah. In the same scene.
Yeah.
That scene's very like there's no flow to it. It's kind of like I was saying about like what Grace Randolph said. It's like an SNL sketch. Yeah. Like there's no flow to that scene. It's just kind of jokes. Yeah. But yeah, Zendaya looks over and then Tom's like, what? And she's like, I don't know, just three of you. Yeah. Like, it felt like a cute thing. Like someone would actually. I feel about their significant other. It's like, oh, that's like cute. Like.
I agree.
Someone's significant other would have maybe a different feeling than like Ned seeing three of them or something.
I agree.
Yeah, Ned goes to fear. Zendaya gets horny.
Oh, and there's a moment here I really like too. Toby's talking to Tom, and they're looking at the Goblin serum or working on it or whatever. And Toby kind of can tell that like Tom's not feeling the cure thing for Goblin because of what happened to Aunt May, and he's like, Toby just kind of reminds him like, yeah, we gotta cure them all. Just remember that. That's what we do. I actually like that moment a lot. He tell him, he doesn't say it explicitly. He just kind of tell him like, he has an idea what going through Tom's head. He's like, no, we gotta cure all of them. Yeah. So I like that moment.
Yeah, and I like that too because like no matter what you think about like how muddy, like we said, like the whole multiverse thing is not very consistent in like the moral, but that part is great. Yeah. Because no matter what the conceits are or whatever, like, the idea of we have to save all these villains and there's one you want to kill. Yeah. Like, that is very, I don't know the word, that's very palpable. I don't know what you want to say, but that stands out. Yeah. That stands out.
And I also kind of like how that little piece of dialogue kind of puts Toby... You know, he's a little bit older, a little bit wiser.
Leader. Yeah, it gives him a like slight like leader mentor type.
Yeah, it's like he's the older, wiser one, which I liked. That was cool. Yeah. Because I wouldn't say Andrew gets a very specific piece of not really character development, but like follow up on something.
Character moment.
Yeah, the Gwen thing, where Toby doesn't really get like a follow up moment like that. You know what I mean? He doesn't get an arc completed. Yeah, so it's interesting. To make up for that, they make him like the wiser one, which I liked. Yeah,
that makes sense to me because there's not like a that Andrew thing is like a slam dunk. It's like an easy slam.
Yeah,
dunk.
Because you have this cliffhanger, I guess. Yeah. as far as his character goes with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And with Tobey, on the other hand, Spider-Man 3 is a pretty clean ending.
Yeah.
I would say. It was... We didn't want the franchise to end there, but it can end there.
Especially compared to
Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a more clean ending.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any... loose screws with Tobey, really. So his piece of character development was something kind of... He came there being a bit older, wiser. I like that.
And it's kind of cool because in No Way Home, do we even explicitly say what we're talking about? Yeah, like Gwen's death, and then he makes up for it in a way by saving MJ in this movie. It's... let's say TASM 3 happened, and in that movie he saved someone from falling, and he was just, like, better at it.
Yeah. That wouldn't have felt so...
No, it would not be satisfying, but the fact that it's, like, this one particular moment in the end, like, final set piece.
Yeah.
And it's like... It works... I don't know, it works really well, even though, like, in another movie it could feel really cheap.
Yeah, and also it works well just in the fact, like you said in Amazing Spider-Man 3, it would just be weird if someone else is falling and then he saves them like that. In this, it's, like, very specifically, he saved her from the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is something... It was the same as that thing. He didn't save Gwen from the Green Goblin. So it's like he gets to... They all... Because you can kind of see it as, like, this is something cyclical, I guess. The Green Goblin dropping these Spider-Man's
Green
girlfriends.
Goblin will always throw your bitch.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, and Tobey did it, and it happened to Andrew. He didn't get to save her. So he got to save someone else's woman from the Green Goblin.
Another
so that makes it
girl,
that makes it better. They all work on the cures, and then after that they pretty much suit up and go.
And they make the joke about the youth pastor.
Yeah, that was funny. So I was like, I don't think I was off when talking about how they deliberately made Peter, like Tobey Peter, look nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very deliberate choice, which is awesome, and it's consistent.
And it would make sense, too, that Andrew would poke fun at it a little bit.
Yeah, because Andrew's he's the coolest one. He's the coolest one of the three.
So, yeah, that's a funny joke. And then and then he's like,
and he has it under his... That was awesome.
I got the toolie on me.
And you mentioned it. You're like, do you think they're making us wait for the Raimi suit? I'm happy they did. So when we finally get to see it, it's satisfying.
And it makes sense, another way too, because in our theater, Tobey got a much stronger reaction.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that there are some members of the audience that might not know exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. So to have the first guy show up in a Spider-Man suit, and you're like, oh, okay,
and
then
you save the big reveal.
And then when you have Tobey come out, he's in his civvies, but Tobey comes out, and then maybe that you make the connection if you're like someone that's out of the loop a little bit or something. It's like, oh, that's the first one.
Yeah.
So I think that was done pretty deliberately.
I agree.
So yeah, then they go fight the bad guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
Tom's Spider-Man goes on fucking Live Leak or something, and he says, come find us.
He talks to Jonah.
Yeah.
Daily Bugle. He talks to Jonah.
He talks to J. Jonah Jameson. Before we get into the end fight real quick, I'd like to talk about Jonah.
Yeah.
Because Jonah's terrible in this movie.
Yeah, he's not great.
And if you watched our other Spider-Man videos, I really like Jonah. I mean, you do too, obviously.
Yeah, but I remember you always made more of a point to talk about Jonah than I did.
I did quite a bit of talking about Jonah. And in this movie, it's not even like Spider-Man 3, for example. We were like, oh, we're not so hot on him in that movie. But in this, he's literally Alex Jones. He's Alex Jones, but he's on every television in the world.
They try to have it both ways.
And you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You can't be a crackpot conspiracy theorist and also be the main news channel.
Yeah.
Because that's just not, if he's the main news channel, he's bought out by everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to be having conspiracy even if he's right or wrong.
Well, it's not necessarily like that, though, in the other Spider-Man movies. Because he's it's more of mainstream media type thing, you know what I mean? But, well, I guess that kind of goes into the bought out thing. But it's not even that he's bought out. It's just he wants to make headlines.
No,
you know
what I'm saying, I'm not saying he's bought out in the old movies.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if you're on the Jumbotron, you're a news source that's compromised.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a conspiracy theorist.
Just in general, a conspiracy theorist Alex Jones person's not going to be on that, which is weird. Yeah, they try to have it both ways, where they make him the Alex Jones
and they
cut
to
and also
oh, he's in his basement in front of a green screen.
Yeah, but he also has a helicopter.
And then also later he's in a real studio.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good. even just if they try to just stick with him being the Alex Jones guy in his basement, I don't like that for Jonah, but it's like, okay, now you can just acknowledge it. It's like, well, this is just one version of Jonah in a different universe. But what makes it bad is, like you said, that they try to have it both ways.
Yeah.
That's what makes it bad.
It makes no fucking
sense.
They
should have just go in one direction or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why try to do both? I don't know. That was not great. And then, Dylan, you very accurately predicted this.
Oh, my God.
100% not spoiled for us. Dylan predicted that he'd be trying to sell supplement pills like Alex Jones, and that's exactly what happens. So that was interesting.
I called that shit.
Yeah,
I called that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we can. Yeah, Jonah sucks in this. Very inconsistent, like very poor creative choice.
Yeah, but he just talks to him to get the villain's attention, right?
Yeah, he goes on there. I'm sure, and it makes sense because obviously, whatever you say about the consistency of the character, he has a wide reach. He would easily be able to get on if he wanted to because he's Spider-Man. Yeah. He's like his bread and butter. Like it makes sense. So he gets on. He tells the villains to come to the Statue of Liberty. Somehow they do.
Yeah.
They don't explain either way how they get on or off Ellis Island.
I'll see on rewatch again, but I thought they did show the three Spider-Men on a boat there, getting there. I might be wrong.
I don't know.
I'll see on rewatch.
I'm sure maybe at the end, maybe Doctor Strange. Well, no, he doesn't teleport him because he like swings away before.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is closing the shit. I don't know how that works. But anyway, so the final fight, Evan. You want to talk about the final fight?
Yeah, some really cool moments here.
Some cool epic stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to go character by character? Or how do you want to do it? I would not be able to remember what happens if we go in chronological
100%. Yeah. It's not like Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 where we've seen it a million times and we also were playing it while talking about it. Right. This is like, we've only seen it once so far, so we're playing this all off memory.
Yeah, the chronological would be impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could talk about Tom and Toby and Andrew. At first, they have like a...
They're not having great success fighting them. Yeah. And
they do the SNL, the whole SNL.
Oh, yeah. We talk
before
about
they come.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lab where they're just riffing.
They're waiting for the villains to show up. Did they say anything cool there? I guess like Andrew cracks Toby's back, which I'm not really hot on, but it's whatever.
It was a little funny to me. I mean, not the cracking the back, just the back joke in general. But it's another thing where it's like, okay, you end up lingering on the joke too long.
Yeah.
If it was just Toby cracking, he's like, oh, my back. You know, I'm old Peter Parker now. It's like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then it's like, they extend it by having him grab him and crack his back. That's an MCU thing. That's an MCU thing where the jokes don't go on too long.
There was nothing, I will say this about the movie. Toby and Andrew never said anything or did anything that was like too overtly MCU.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So I respect that.
Me too.
That was actually one thing I was really worried about.
Yeah, same, because I was like, I don't want to hate them. And then, you know what I mean? Like, please don't make me hate Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That would be horrible. But I didn't. It felt like him for the most part.
They did it right.
Yeah,
they did it
felt
right.
like him, so I was very happy with that. But yeah, they have that. And they also talk about... They mention it briefly in the lab, but here they have more dialogue about it. About the web shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like... Dude, I think it was Andrew's like, it's still crazy to me that you actually can shoot your web shooters out of your arm. And the funniest part about it to me was how Toby seemed very uncomfortable the whole time when they were talking to him.
Yeah, because he was I didn't really expect that. It's kind of a funny angle. He kind of saw it as like intrusive.
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
That was funny.
Because it's like, that feels real. I feel like, you should be like kind of insecure about it a little bit, you know, like, oh, leave me alone though. Yeah. And they're like, oh, you shoot webs out anywhere else? I think that was Tom who said that. And he's like, no.
And then, Tom does the whole, like, there's some of it I don't like just because it's like, all right, we get it. Like, you remember the old movies, we get it.
Yeah, I'll talk about that at the very end of the episode.
Oh, why?
Just, like, why I think the movie might not age well. I'll just save it for the end.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I was not a huge fan of that in some points. But yeah, so the second SNL scene ends, and...
Oh, can we talk about the villain thing real quick?
What part?
A missed opportunity. So Tom's like, can you guys tell me what the craziest villains you guys have fought were?
Yeah.
And we thought this would be a good chance for them to expand on the Raimi lore or the Mark Webb lore. And they're just like, oh, they just named the villains who didn't show up from their worlds in this one. He's like... Yeah, once I fought a black goo monster referencing Venom, which I didn't expect Toby to reference Raimi Venom whatsoever, but he did. And Andrew just addresses Rhino. So that's more to what you're saying. It's just like, yeah, you get it. You remember the old movies. It would have been cooler if they named a Spider-Man villain we haven't seen yet. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
And I think there's a way you could do it. There's a way you could do it where it wouldn't ruin anything. Because I think you could pick a villain that no one cares about. Or you could pick, like if this probably would be egregious. This probably would not play well. But if Andrew was like, "Oh, I fought a guy in a big wheel," big wheel, like something like that. That would be fine too.
Yeah, or maybe even if they said like Mysterio or Vulture.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting. Or, they could have did that too.
One thing we also really wanted to do is like maybe Toby to comment on Lizard and say like.
Yeah, he never acknowledges the other Kurt Connors.
Yeah.
Which is... There's already a lot going on, so it doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah.
But that would have been cool to see, but whatever.
But I think we would have liked to see either, like, a villain that's in the movie be like, oh, I have a version of that, or, like, a confirmation of a villain we don't know about.
Yeah. We had talked about that before. It's like, it would have been interesting if they maybe confirmed that Kurt Connors in Raimi World eventually became the Lizard. For me, though, it feels like maybe they just kind of stayed away from trying to expand on the lore too much in those worlds, just in case maybe they want to do it later.
No, because I mentioned this before the movie came out, and I think even more so it's kind of confirmed now that I think Sony's, like, I keep saying this phrase, but they're putting their toys away.
Yeah,
they're taking their toys back. They're putting them in the toy chest.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're done letting Marvel play with them. And I think, obviously... I think there's some type of agreement going on that they're gonna start letting Spider-Man boost MCU movies rather than having the MCU boost Spider-Man, because I think they're seeing clearly now that Spider-Man, at least like in the films, the brand is like normal again.
Yeah.
Whereas they viewed it as kind of damaged after TASM 2.
Yeah.
So I think.
Well, yeah, like Venom 2 was a huge success, and it has no relation to the MCU whatsoever, besides the post-credit scene, which is more tied to just this movie, really, than the MCU at large.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's maybe some shit going on where maybe when Sony re-signed the deals, they're like, we're going to be a little more independent.
Yeah.
And
they realized the power of what they had.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see that going forward.
Yeah.
I think you're going to notice that. And so the reason I say that is because... that's another reason they wouldn't want to blow their load and be like, oh yeah, I fought the Sinister Six, I fought this. Like maybe they will do a Spider-Man 4, maybe they'll do like a live action Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
They know. Who knows what they'll want to do. So, and I think in this movie you do get enough to tide you over.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't think you needed to blow your load on that type of stuff, but you could have given us a little something.
Yeah, extra. A little something
extra.
I agree.
That's okay. That's all right. So yeah, they talk for a minute. The villains come, and then they fight the villains.
Yeah, I like how at the beginning of it, the three of them really aren't working that well together.
Yeah,
that was cool.
They quickly kind of tighten up.
Yeah,
it's like kind of a realistic little moment. They're like, okay, we at least have to call each other something.
Yeah.
So they come up with like the numbers, and
Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3.
And TASM's 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they goof on Andrew a little bit a few times in the movie. And that felt like a moment because he's like, yeah, I guess I'm Peter 3. He says it like angrily. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he says it in a playful way.
Yeah, it's not that he's angry, but you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm Peter 3.
And there's also that moment where he says he loves them.
Oh, yeah, that's dirty.
That's pretty dirty.
Yeah, and they're like, thank you.
I think they could have played that a little different, but that's all right. They could have played it a little nicer.
Yeah.
A little nicer. Because at the same time, it's like, these are clearly all, like, three, like, normal, decent men that are the same man. So it's like, just say I love you, too.
You're the same guy.
Yeah, you're the same guy.
And then, also, like we said, the standoff, they let Toby beat Andrew there, so they really, they do kind of disrespect him.
But Toby does kind of, like we said about, Andrew catches, like, the biggest dub.
Yeah. That is true.
Between him and Toby, like, he's the one that gets the most, like, little successful moment.
That is true. Oh, also, we didn't even mention, though, there's also, as far as the shitting on Andrew thing, he kind of plays himself down. It's like Toby has to keep being like, "Oh no, dude, you're amazing.
Yeah,
you're amazing." So there's that also.
There's not even just like, oh, he wins in the fight. Oh, he's like the Spider-Man 3. But there's also literally one part where he's like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, you guys are better than me. Like, there's literally, I forgot about that. There's literally that. He says that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of nice when Toby's like, no, man, like, don't shit on yourself. You're good.
Yeah, because he said he didn't fight an alien. I was like, no, yeah. He keeps saying, you're amazing. You're amazing.
I wonder what that's in reference to.
Oh, who knows?
Who knows? God, who knows? But yeah, end of the Spider-Man little fight here. You get some great action. Some pretty great action.
Yeah, it's actually awesome when they all like, okay, Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3.
And then right after
coordination, they all do their iconic woos as they jump, and they all swing together, and it looks amazing.
Yeah,
the three of them swinging together.
And they all kind of... That moment is like choreographed, I think, really well.
Yeah.
Like the way they swing around the building and then they land together and then they all like they're squared up with the villains.
Yeah,
like that whole part was choreographed really nicely.
Yeah, I guess we should mention at first it's just Sandman, Lizard, and Electro. Goblin shows up a little bit later,
and so does somebody else.
And yeah, of course.
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin, yeah. Ned Leeds turns evil.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet is cast as the new Hobgoblin.
Oh, yeah, I say that. That's what I mean.
Sorry. No, okay, so what else you got to say? Final fight.
Well, basically, they cure the villains during the fight.
I mean, Lizard gets cured the same way as Tasm.
Yeah. Which,
like we said, he gets sucked out before he was cured in that movie, so... Yeah, he gets tricked into biting the canister and turns back to normal.
Yeah.
Sandman, we want to talk about Sandman, I know, because Sandman is basically...
It's like a blast of light or something they use on Sandman.
I mean, not how he's cured, but there's like... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically, Toby's fighting Sandman, and then Sandman, I don't know how it happens, but he gets trapped in the Statue of Liberty at the top, and he's being flooded by Sandman.
Yeah.
Like, Sandman's trying to drown him. And there's a moment that's very reminiscent of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
where he's kind of... I don't know if does he scream something?
Yeah, he says, like, I forgot what he says.
He says, "Sand!"
Yeah, he says something to call out to Andrew and Tom.
Yeah, and it's basically like a very close-up of Toby, like, reaching for the camera.
Yeah,
like,
and it looked like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and it looked just like in that scene in Spider-Man 2 where he's like, "Hold on!"
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And when it happened, we both looked at each other, oh, that was fucking sick.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, yeah, eventually, Tom, I guess he's scaving off the other villains, and he throws it in there to get Toby to cure Sandman. And then, the Lizard is the one who runs in the... Andy pointed this out to us. Lizard runs into the school and chases around MJ, and then, like, brings her out.
Oh, yeah.
Which was probably a reference to Tasm.
Yeah.
We didn't mention on the bridge as well.
Yeah, the portal is still... Like, Ned and MJ, they opened the portal. I don't remember why. And then they can't close it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're there at the Statue of Liberty.
But they're in the school, and then Lizard
runs
school
in,
and like Tasm, the end of Tasm 1.
Yeah.
There's also another we didn't mention Tasm
on the bridge.
Reference,
yeah.
On the bridge, very similar to Tasm 1, where Spider-Man grabs a car from falling off the bridge and crawls in the car and saves the kid.
Yeah.
And Tom does that in this movie on a bridge as well.
That's why it doesn't seem like a reach to me for the Sandman thing to look... I feel like it was supposed to look like Spider-Man 2.
It's a deliberate, like, visual homage to that
Spider-Man
kind of
2.
reaction shot.
And I really like that. They have a lot of very subtle references. That was awesome to me.
Yeah.
And also MJ in the diner. Yeah. And her boss getting mad at her. That was...
So you noticed that in the movie, and you were like, oh, I wonder, is this a reference to Spider-Man 1? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
By the end of the movie, I would definitely feel like it is.
I was like, what, the Halloween decorations? Like, what are you talking about? But you were like, no, MJ works in a diner. And I was like, oh, yeah.
And what made me think about it was right when her boss got mad at her and she's like, oh, get back to work.
MJ, get back to work.
Yeah, right, yeah. It was like Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I like the more subtle references were pretty cool.
Yeah.
The more subtle references were pretty cool. So what else you got in the end fight there? Lizard doesn't do very much at all. Electro doesn't do very much at all. I mean, he has some dialogue with Andrew and...
Yeah. And he does electrocute him and then immediately dubs Tom, too. That was kind of cool. And, they all fight, and then they cure the villains. And what I really liked was that, Andrew and Andrew and Toby, they both had moments with the other villains. Yeah, so Toby talked to Flint, Sandman.
Oh, with their own villains, right?
Yeah. And I forgot what he says. He's like, yeah, you can go home now, Flint, or whatever.
Yeah, go home to your daughter.
Yeah, and the Elfman theme is playing.
Right.
Which was awesome. And then Andrew talked to Electro, and he finds out, you're a white dude.
Yeah, he's like, I always thought you were black.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of funny, too, because, like, that is consistent with his character in TASM 2, because...
He loves Spider-Man.
He acts a lot different in this movie, but they acknowledge, like, oh, you were a super Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, I liked you, like, you know, because I thought you were black.
Yeah.
I thought you were a black guy from Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
And then, I guess he has a moment with Kurt Connors also, Andrew. I don't really remember what he says to him, though.
Yeah, he just, like, strokes his cheek, and he's like, you go home.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then Doc Ock comes, and like we mentioned earlier, he's already cured Ock. So he comes, and I forgot when exactly. I think it was against Electro. Yeah. Yeah, he stops Electro. And then this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, or parts of whatever, because it's a quick moment, part of this larger scene. Toby and Doc Ock talk to each other.
Well, I wanted to mention real quick, too, like, the way he saves them.
Oh, it was awesome.
Like, you think maybe he's being evil, like...
Yeah, another very subtle Spider-Man 2 reference.
And he also...
when he grabs him.
He also references that scene earlier in the movie. He's like, I almost killed Spider-Man. I had him by the throat.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, oh, but then I died.
Yeah.
And then later, like, the way he grabs the... Who does he grab?
I can't remember, but it's like when he tries to stop Toby so he can take down the machine.
Exactly.
And you think it's a misdirect.
Yeah.
It was exactly like that.
Yeah, because
so
he comes
another
up,
very subtle reference.
I don't remember the dialogue, but he grabs both the Spider-Man and Electro.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ah, and he's like, nah, just kidding, fuck you, Electro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then he puts, someone puts the machine that turns his powers off back on him.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's kind of funny when Andrew like goes up to Electro after he's depowered and he's like, "You dry?" or whatever. Like that was pretty funny. Like, are you empty? What do you have anything else to say about the Statue of Liberty bit?
Yeah, I want to talk about Doc Ock and Toby. That's what I was going to mention.
Oh right,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. So it was just very sweet that moment. So like we mentioned, Doc Ock's already good, and he sees this was his first time realizing that his Peter is here, and Peter takes off his mask and he's like. They recognize each other, and they have just a little cute moment. And Otto's like, my God, Peter, you've grown up. And he asks him how he is. I thought that was sweet.
Yeah, that is sweet. And I think in our Spider-Man 2 episode, I mentioned, like they have a good relationship. I wish maybe that, like, we had a chance to see them again.
Yeah,
like,
and there you go. You got it.
kind of way.
Yeah.
And he's proud of him.
Yeah,
he's happy.
That was
he's
awesome.
Happy.
I really like that
really
a lot.
Nice. Really nice. And I think if anyone deserves to be the guy that, like, if anyone deserves to be the villain that helps him out, it's Otto.
Yeah, because Otto is... Well, we talk about Sandman, but Otto is more evil because he was mind controlled. Just in general, Otto is probably the most non-evil villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Sandman's not that bad, but also he was just kind of a criminal.
Yeah.
But Otto was like, he's a guy that had genuinely, like, good intentions towards the world and shit like that. And he was, like, actually, like... became decent friends with Peter, and you know they connected. And,
yeah, he was straight up evil because of the arms, but outside of that, he was a good person.
Yeah. So I think easily he was the best choice. And it just felt really cathartic to have him come help them.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that. We got the follow up that you wanted at the end of Spider-Man 2, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of my favorite moments.
And then Goblin come, right?
Yeah, and Goblin comes, and I wish we got to see the other two fight Goblin a little bit, but they just keep it between Tom and him.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It doesn't really bother me too much. But just for the fan in me, is like, oh, I wish we got to see the other two fight Goblin a little bit. And Tom goes crazy. He just straight up tells him, like, yeah, I'm going to kill you.
Well, I also, I wouldn't have liked seeing the Goblin beat Andrew and Toby and then get the shit beat out of him by Tom. But
I'm not necessarily saying he had to beat them.
Well, what
yeah,
else
it's
would
like,
they do?
yeah, but it's like, yeah. So there isn't really any great way to play it. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on the movie for this at all. It's just like, it's just like, oh, I want a fan service moment. You know what I mean? But there's not really any way to naturally play it.
I think they
unless it's them getting shit on.
It didn't really make sense to me that the Goblin was like, he was overtaken kind of easily by Tom, and I guess you could say like in Spider-Man 1, the only way like Toby only gets the upper hand once he gets mad.
Yeah, the same thing happens here.
The same thing happens here, but I think they could have also done like Andrew and Toby like they softened him up a little bit.
Yeah,
like maybe they tag team him and then Tom finishes him. And
yeah. But I do like that though. It's like Spider-Man 1 because at first in their fight, Toby getting the shit beat out of him. He only wins once it's in anger.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Yeah. And like I said, he just straight up tells him, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you," which was like, well, another thing is like, well, you wouldn't see that coming from Tom Holland Spider-Man,
right?
Yeah, so that was actually kind of cool, and he beats the shit out of him, and then we get a really cool moment. Tom's about to kill him with the glider, and Toby stops him.
Which of course, and also that has like a lot of meaning.
Yeah,
because like that's what Goblin used to kill himself.
Yeah,
and that's also what he used to kill Aunt May earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a very like just in the way the scene is, it's like a really I don't know, it's visually striking, and it's also like very weighty.
You know what? In that way, Toby does kind of get his follow-up.
Well, how so?
It's like he let Norman die, but in this chance he gets to let Norman. He stopped the glider, saved Spider-Man, and
he kind of,
you know what I mean? He kind of gets it both ways in the way he couldn't in Spider-Man 1.
Kind of the only thing that hangs over him, not the only thing, but the big thing that hangs over him in the Raimi trilogy is like, oh, I killed my friend's dad.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Yeah, so
he undoes that.
In the way he does get his moment too. In a similar way to Andrew.
That's actually,
I just thought about that now. Like me either. Me either until just now.
How about that? But yeah, just in a visual kind of way, I just think that like the weight of the glider and like the visual of them both holding up, it just looks great. Yeah,
I agree. And it's also, of course, just a follow up to what we were mentioning earlier, where Toby was like reminding him, "We gotta save them all." Yeah. So that was cool. But of course, the Goblin still, he's gonna act up. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's like about what just happened, and he just stabs Toby.
Well, because also we didn't really mention this. The Goblin is like the Joker in this movie. Like,
oh yeah, I feel it does feel a lot more Joker-esque than it does in Spider-Man 1.
Because he wants Tom to kill him.
Yeah, because he's like, use your power for evil. That is kind of like the Dark Knight.
He's very Joker in this. I think that definitely, like you said, like more Joker. At the very least, more Joker than he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great.
He wasn't he like laughing when he getting punched in the face.
Yeah, he was.
He wanted him to give in to his evil. That is very like the Dark Knight. Yeah.
And even I think in the apartment fight, there's a bit where Tom is punching him maybe, and he's laughing still. I think that also is in there.
I know it's definitely a thing where he gets punched in the face and he laughs.
Yeah.
But anyways, he stabs Toby. Any thoughts on this moment?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that got me. It got me. Do you want to mention Secret Wars real quick or no?
Yeah.
So real quick, Evan, I asked Evan, I was like, I know you're like continuing to read spoilers as they come out, like please don't tell me. And there was something Evan read that they perhaps spoilers for Secret Wars project potentially. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
They're looking to maybe have Toby and Andrew in there.
Yeah.
And Evan didn't tell me that so that I didn't so I didn't so that the fake out could work.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because it was a really cool moment where I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Like, because Green Goblin stabs Toby and it's like
they play it like he's going to die.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you see Toby's face and he's like, oh, like he's like wincing hard as hell.
And literally like the sound effect is so like it's like he got stabbed like deep as fuck. And I was like, no. And that just for me, it's like we already just had Aunt May die.
Yeah.
And like I don't need to see really.
That would have been the hard hit in death if Toby died. Yeah.
It would have just pissed me off.
Yeah. I'm happy it didn't happen.
But they fake you out.
Yeah.
And the fact that I got fucking faked out like that was awesome. And I'm so glad I didn't know that they were looking to have him come back because then the scene could have an effect on me. And there's a lot of times in this movie where I just like stared at you, where and that was one of the parts where I drew like super huge attention to it. Like I got in your face. I was like, what?
I deliberately, because I knew about this moment. I deliberately like. I didn't want to react one way or the other. I just stayed blank. So like I didn't want to give anything away. So I just stayed blank as I was watching this.
And I really appreciate that because I like that was a fun moment like to be faked out like that. I'm really happy. So do you have anything? It's nice to see them hug and shit. I actually have one thing to say that might be this might be reading a bit deep into it, Evan.
Oh, go for it. But we do that on RNS podcast a lot. So
guess
it's
what?
Not really
guess where you are. Guess where you are. So the classic Statue of Liberty Captain America shield that they added onto the...
Yeah.
So during the fight, there's a whole scaffolding. They're like adding a cap shield to the statue, which is stupid as shit.
Yeah.
But guess what happens?
Ooh.
The shield gets fucking knocked clean off of it.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think that could be some meta-textual commentary?
I didn't even think about that, but it's definitely possible. Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Cutting the MCU off from Spider-Man? Yeah, it definitely is possible.
Right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because they do that at the very end of the movie, too, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, in a more kind of, like, in-story way.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like that might be, like, a little indication. Because I think...
No, I don't think you're reading too much into it.
I think that might be real.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that might be
I don't think you're reading too much into it. But yeah, so then Tom, given what Toby just did, he's like, okay, yeah, he just cures Norman. He stabs the needle thing or whatever. The anti-goblin goo, not the goblin goo, the anti-goblin goo. He stabs in Norman. And then Norman, I actually liked his reaction when to Norman. He's like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And it's our first time seeing Norman be 100% normal again since the beginning of Spider-Man 1, which is, yeah, that's a cool follow-up. And Doctor Strange...
And he's acting very much like he was in that first, like, recovery scene.
Yeah, yeah.
In Spider-Man 1,
when he wakes up.
Like, he kills Dr. Schramm, like, when he first turns into the Goblin, and then he wakes up. And he's acting very much like he did in that scene.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that was cool.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. And then Toby, he's fine. He's like, oh, I've been stabbed before.
Which is fucking awesome.
And I don't know, I just love that visual of Andrew holding to, like, them, like, having Toby on his arm, helping him hold him up.
And you said this, too, like, after the movie, you were like, it makes sense that he would be the one that gets the most fucked up. I mean, even though Tom is clearly, like, fucking battered, but, like, the guy who gets, like, a deep stab wound is, of course, and the guy who has to, like, be held up by another guy, of course that's gonna be Toby, because that dude goes hard in the paint.
He does. He took that stab like no problem. So yeah, all the villains are cured, but there's another problem. Like, all the villains are breaking through. It's not really explained that well.
Basically the spell is continuing to unravel the multiverse in a way. It's continuing to drag new villains in.
Yeah, and you get a quick few shots at different villains.
Yeah, some quick little Easter eggs and references, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of funny because our friend Andy noticed Rhino and what's the other one? Kraven. Our friend Andy noticed Rhino and Kraven, and I noticed only Rhino. You only noticed Kraven.
Yeah.
And apparently Scorpion's in there. There's probably more.
Yeah.
There's probably.
I'm gonna be looking harder when we rewatch it today.
Yeah, there's probably more. But one thing that was very silly to me is I think they're all still images.
Yeah, they're not moving or anything. Yeah,
which is pretty ugly.
It's fine. So yeah, Tom goes up and is like, the only reason this is happening because they all know who Peter Parker is, and then he just tells them like, well, just make everybody forget I'm Peter Parker. So it's like an extreme version of the spell, I guess.
Yeah, because earlier what he was saying, and the reason this doesn't read as like a super mature choice is because, well, first of all, Aunt May's dead, but it's just messy because of the multiverse thing. But it is a strong choice because literally everyone forgets that Peter Parker basically exists, right? Yeah, like he almost doesn't exist.
Yeah, pretty much. They know Spider-Man exists, like maybe, but they don't know who Peter Parker is.
Maybe he still has a social security card.
Yeah.
I hope, God's sake, I hope he does.
He must have. He was able to get an apartment for rent later, so he must, yeah. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, well, he must still have some legal identity because he's signing up for the GED. He's, which we can talk about in a minute. He rented an apartment. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, so he still exists legally.
Wait, hold up. Now, wait a minute. Now, hold up. Mm-hmm. What about that fucking prequel show?
What about it?
It's not even canon anymore.
Why is it not canon?
Oh, I guess it is canon.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what do you mean by that?
No one remembers it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Whatever. I guess that gives you a lesson to
if it was a sequel show, it wouldn't be canon.
Right,
yeah.
Right. No, I guess everyone forgets.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about? The Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he told Doctor Strange.
Oh, just the choice. It's like, it almost doesn't feel very weighty to me, but it kind of does. You know, it's okay. It's good. Because earlier in the movie, that's what caused the whole issue. Is he was like, well, I just want it my way. I want it perfect. Yeah. Like, I want you to make these people remember, but not these, and he's just ruining everything. But then here he's like, no, fuck it. Like, just do it your way. Like,
yeah,
you know.
The better choice to me of what comes after this,
right?
Which we'll get into,
right?
But yeah, so
it's cool that he has to do two.
Yeah.
And one is more meaningful, obviously.
So yeah, everybody forgets. It was kind of. I actually did kind of like that. Doctor Strange, you got emotional during that. He didn't want to forget him, which I liked, because they obviously in Infinity War, they're together the entire movie. Doctor Strange and Peter. So
they have a good amount of history together.
Yeah, and then they came together in Endgame also.
Yeah, like this Endgame and Infinity War,
Yeah, so that was nice to me. And then he tells him, well, everyone can forget who Peter Parker is, so that will stop all this from happening. Go get your last goodbyes. And that's when he said goodbye to Toby and Andrew, and we get a hug between the three of them.
Oh yeah, so real quick, I wanted to mention, since they're not from that universe, maybe they can remember who he is.
No, I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. I don't know. Like I said, the whole multiverse magic thing's a bit messy.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
they'll probably remember him.
Yeah.
So yeah, they say goodbye. They have a cool hug on the shield that's on the ground. And then what else happened?
Oh, I actually do like that. Because this actually felt like a Raimi moment to me. When Andrew's like, and then he's holding him up, and Toby's smiling. He's like, yeah, you're in so much pain, aren't you? He's like, yeah. It kind of reminded me of my back thing a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like that. And then he goes and says goodbye to Ned and MJ.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But this is where it comes into second choice. He tells him, like, don't worry, you guys are going to forget me now, but I'm going to come find you. I'm going to explain everything. So, that's still kind of weird. It's like, because for them, it'll be like, oh, this is just some weird stranger, but...
Well, I think there's some, like, human emotion where, like, Zendaya and Ned are like, oh, no, like, I'll remember.
Yeah,
I'll remember. Like, they don't want to kind of accept it.
Yeah.
And then I like the moment where Zendaya and Zendaya says I love you to Tom, and she stops him before he can say it back, and she's like, just tell me when you find me.
Yeah, I did like that. Yeah, this was a good moment.
And that it is especially a good moment because it might never happen.
Yeah.
So like that.
I agree.
Good little moment.
So everyone forgets Peter, and like I said, the villain for cured. They all go home. Oh, I want to talk about this real quick. So I guess definitively, the Amazing Spider-Man and Raimi Spider-Man timelines have been changed.
Right.
Because all the villains go home. And it actually didn't bother me, them changing the timelines. Because I was like... I said this to you after we saw the movie. It felt like a natural extension of what... Like, it feels like that's what they would have wanted to do.
Yeah.
Those characters. So it didn't bother me.
Like I was saying earlier... In the context of their movies, if they had the opportunity to cure them, they would have.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that they mentioned... I don't think we talked about this in the review yet. How... Well, we did kind of. Electro's like, the power here is different.
Yeah.
Even though he's just like on like civilian power lines. But that's interesting because to me that implies like there's a different like power ceiling in the MCU versus the Raimi
I agree.
TASM universes. So it makes sense to me also that perhaps they would come here and they'd be like easier to cure.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
They're in this like high power ceiling sci-fi universe versus their own. So it also lends a little more like, well, this is why they couldn't in their universe, maybe.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Andrew, he's like, he already knew the cure because of Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. But he didn't cure, like, Electro.
Oh, no. Yeah. I just mean for as far as Lizard goes, but yeah,
Yeah.
In general, I agree with you, though. Yeah.
Well, also in TASM, like, the Lizard thing was, like, something the Lizard was working on for years.
Yeah.
And then... So that might have made it easier to reverse engineer.
Yeah.
Whereas,
it was
like,
a similar thing with the Goblin thing, I assume.
Yeah.
It was like a reverse engineering of
But
that.
whereas, like, Electro and Sandman, they, like, fell in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And, like, got turned, like, an accident, so...
Yeah.
It's different.
Which they have a moment about, too.
Yeah.
They both acknowledge that they fell into something and they got...
Yeah, it was actually... That was one of the funniest things to me about Electro. He was just like, damn. Like...
I agree. I like that.
Just being like, damn, we just fell in those shits, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. What else were we talking about?
Oh, so the villains all go home. I was just saying the timeline being changed actually didn't bother me.
No, right. Okay, so that also, if they do bring back those characters, if they do bring back Andrew or Toby, that even opens up their universes a little bit.
Yeah.
It's consistent with a choice they would make, and it also opens their universes up a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you could have Doc Ock in some other type of role. You could have Norman come back in some type of way, and even if they want to turn Norman back evil,
that'd be weird.
I mean.
But no, I agree.
But you have him back and he's alive.
Yeah.
And, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree.
So hopefully Emperor Sam Raimi will, maybe he can play with them if he wants to.
Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, Spider-Man 4.
Actually, no, that with Doc Ock, I'm thinking about it, that would actually be awesome. So, yeah, I agree with you about that. About the Peter-Doc Ock dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Anyways, so yeah, everyone forgets Tom Holland, Peter. And then I guess there's a time skip.
There's a time jump of, I think, about a month.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's about a month.
Yeah. It's like Christmas time or something.
Well, because in the movie, or around the time of the villains coming out is like October. It's like the end of October.
Is it? Yeah, probably.
She's like, because not the end of October. It's the beginning of November, I guess, because the guys like take the Halloween decorations down.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
yeah. So it's like about a month.
And then by the time Tom is going to visit MJ, it's Christmas. So I like that he waited a little bit.
Yeah.
And they also like they don't have to do the stupid fucking a year later.
Yeah.
You can just be like, oh, it's about a month.
Yeah. It was natural.
So, do you want to just get into that scene?
Yeah.
Wait, so does the apartment scene happen after this?
That's the very end of the movie.
It's the very end.
Yeah, before the final swing.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like rehearsing what he's going to say to them. He has it written down.
Yeah.
What he's going to say to MJ and Ned. Or at least to MJ. I think he's going to find MJ first. And Ned comes later. He's rehearsing what he's going to say to MJ. And he goes in there, starts talking to her. And then Ned comes in. And we don't really know, but maybe it's implied that they're dating. Maybe they're friends. They don't really hard confirm or deny it either way. But he hears that both of them got into MIT. And he sees, like, just kind of how happy they are. And that's when he first starts thinking, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't get involved with this.
Yeah. Because he's like, oh, like, what I went through, like, worked. Like,
yeah.
Like, ultimately, I went through all this shit. Like, Aunt May died and everyone, like... But ultimately, like, getting them back out of my life helped them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he kind of realizing, well, they're probably better off without me. That sounds fucked up, but it's like...
And then if I don't stay in their life... If I stay in their life, something
the
like
same
this
thing's
is
gonna happen
inevitably
again.
going to come up where I do something that will affect their lives. And it's not even like in the Raimi universe where they acknowledge, like, oh, like, the bad people will always try and hurt you.
Yeah.
But there's other ways also that Spider-Man can hurt them.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah, that's kind of an expansion on that. I like that. So he starts getting kind of his first hints of that there. And then he's talking to MJ. And I think he's still thinking about it because he has the note. And then he sees the cut on her head with the Band-Aid. That came from the final fight, I think. So she's still kind of getting over that, I guess.
Or there's still, at least, there's still a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah. Or at least maybe, because it's a month, like maybe it reminded him of that at the very least.
Yeah.
And I think he's like thinking, oh yeah, me being involved in her life got her actually like physically hurt. And then he just puts the note away and he's like, yeah, it's better. They're better off without me. They seem happy. And that was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He made a big boy choice in this. Yeah.
He actually, and the thing is too, we talked about this. Iron Man is nowhere in sight.
No.
there's no ex-Stark employees. There's no Chitauri. There's no, like, Thanos. No one's talking about Thanos.
Yeah.
No one's talking about the Infinity Stones. It's just Peter Parker in a diner with his friends.
Yeah.
And he makes a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Which is fucking cool.
It is. And in ways it's even more difficult than the choice Peter had to make in Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire. Because, like, at least he still had his normal Peter Parker relationship with them. It's just like it couldn't get like too serious because of the Spider-Man thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because in this and also
in this it's just they literally don't remember. He can't have any kind of relationship with them. You know what I mean?
And also like why I guess there's an argument to be made if he really wanted to. He could try and strike up as casual, like not explain, oh, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like he could try and make a casual relationship with them if he wanted to. Maybe.
Yeah.
But also like that's not like the easiest thing in the world to like just become friends with a waitress.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a lot different than him becoming friends with them in school.
Yeah.
When they were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying. It's kind of like
he literally has nobody at this point.
Yeah. Because literally Aunt May is dead too.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't even have Aunt May, which is God. That's good.
Yeah, that whole thing is crazy to me that he's actually completely alone at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that it's just how kind of crazy it is, and that he had to make a choice to have that. It's like he finally feels like Spider-Man in that moment. Yes. That was awesome.
Yes.
That was fucking great.
God damn.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, that whole scene was great.
Good for you. And that's kind of what I meant. In the end here, we get like a good chunk of like some real Peter Parker shit. Like that, and the grave scene is good. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's good.
I mentioned this to you. I feel like they should have reordered the May scene and the cafe scene. Just because the cafe scene was way harder hitting than him visiting May's scene with Happy.
I think if you switch it, because if you switch it to Happy comes, like the Happy grave scene is first.
Yeah.
That's kind of easing you into like, he's kind of trying to accept May's death, and he's like, you're kind of getting used to the idea of like him in this new world. And it's like, oh yeah, Happy has forgotten him, obviously. And then you can make that next scene like it's an extension.
Yeah,
like,
and it's way harder.
It
just seemed weird to me that they had the really hard hitting scene and then they have the. I think they just should have just been switched.
Yeah, because I think
personally, it's not a big deal, but
I think it would it would do a lot for that part. Because it would like I said, it would kind of say like, here's the new world, and then here's how he reacts to it.
Yeah.
Versus like, here's how he reacts to his new situation, and then here's like him living in it a little more.
Yeah. They need to hire us.
Yeah.
For real, man. They need to hire us. Because that would have made the ending even better.
I think that is like a genuine, like, that would have been an improvement editing wise. But yeah, the happy
because that's an easy switch. You literally
just switch the
scenes.
Doesn't,
it doesn't change the structure or anything. Yeah. I mean, it changes the structure, but it's not like he walks up and it's like, yeah, I just finished visiting my aunt's grave. You know, it doesn't change the script, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
literally just in the editing bay, you could change that, and I think it would make it better. But yeah, nothing to say really about the happy part.
Yeah.
Other than they do cover up the year Aunt May died, so they don't have to like use the timeline.
It's just a 20, and then you'll see. I was like, oh my god, when I saw that.
Which it's funny, but I don't blame them.
Yeah,
that's fine. I don't blame them.
And then we get a really good ending. See, if they switched it and then you give us that ending,
that would hit hard as fuck.
Exactly.
That would hit hard as fuck. Can I talk about that?
Yeah, of course.
In the next part, and this is like the biggest thing Evan didn't spoil for me. Because
I knew you were gonna love this. I knew right from the beginning.
I do appreciate the and of course I love the MJ part too.
Yeah.
But and also you didn't.
Which I also mentioned. I was saying like we're both gonna like the ending, but then I knew the suit thing you were gonna love.
So basically, it's after Happy, right?
Yeah.
So after he visits Aunt May's grave, it comes to Peter Parker has a small box of shit.
Yeah.
And
he has a GED book, which confirms he's not in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just has a box of small things. He walks into the apartment, and the guy says, the rent is due on Monday.
Yeah. Pretty sure that's a rent reference.
Mr. Dinkovich.
Yeah.
But I think that whole thing is like, I wouldn't call it a reference. I would even call the whole end of the movie an homage to Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I would agree. Because he lives in a little dumpy apartment, very similar to Peter's.
I think you get bumped up from a reference to like an homage. Because it's like, this is the character now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they're trying to move in that direction.
You're right. You know? He's going into his Spider-Man 2 phase. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's so good, and the apartment, though, like, it doesn't look quite as shitty as Peter's apartment.
No, it doesn't. But it's still pretty dumpy.
But it's still dumpy. Yeah. It's still shitty, and it's like it doesn't even look like he has a bedroom. It's just kind of like, there's kind of just a big room. Yeah. With like a kitchen and a bathroom.
Yeah. And he has a bed. Also,
and a bed. Yeah. More like a dorm room or something.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, so he's living there now, and he pulls up an app on his phone, a normal smartphone app, which for me, whenever I see a smartphone, I'm like, ugh, like, it's just such a boring thing to see in a movie. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see that. But the fact that you think about it, it's like, yeah, that's not Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's just his Android with like police scanner app. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and that reminds me of Spider-Man 2 and 3 also. He had the police radio.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a police radio, but he has some like civilian shit, like some fairly civilian shit.
And then
this dude,
I'll let you handle it.
This dude's cooking it up on the on the sewing machine. Yes. He's cooking it up, and this dude's sewing up the Spider-Man PS4 costume. He's sewing it up.
It's a classic red and blue suit.
It's just complete. No classic, bullshit, classic Spider-Man suit. The logo's new.
Yep.
The logo's more of a standard Spider-Man logo. I don't think we see the back spider, but that's all right.
I don't remember. And we'll see now. We'll see when we go.
I did have it, and then so basically we see he's sewing a new suit. He tries it on, and he does the final swing of the movie.
Yeah, and the final swing's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love that it's at night, and it's like snowing. Kind of dark after what happened, you know what I mean?
And then I had a thought about this too, that
and the new best MCU Spider-Man costume so far,
easily.
And we don't even get a great look at it, but you just know
easily.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to mention is I think maybe he did take some inspiration from them.
Yeah, this was something you said to me. Yeah, that he was probably inspired by seeing their costumes.
And I almost wish that there was something, or maybe I don't.
I'm fine with it being subtle.
Maybe I don't. But I really like the idea that Tom saw their outfits and he was like, damn, I have a busy ass, like, ugly costume. Yeah. I want some clean shit. And I guess also there's, like, I don't know if it makes his life simpler to not be connected to Stark Tech anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in like the like Iron Man like sucks. Like I'm saying that in the sense of like, will he get in trouble for having Stark Tech that people don't know about? Like,
yeah, true, because he doesn't have any connection to them anymore.
He has no affiliation with them anymore.
Before he was still close with Happy, and I assume he was close with Pepper.
Right.
And now he doesn't have any association with them whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he kind of needs to build up from start.
From scratch, yeah. But also, like I said, I like the idea that he just saw their costumes. He was like, "Damn, those shits are cold."
Yeah, yeah.
I want something like that.
So yeah, that was a great ending, really.
And of course, also there's
never thought I'd say that about an MCU Spider-Man movie. Yeah.
And of course, there's also the whole physical change to go along with like an emotional change.
Yeah.
Which we mentioned, I'm sure, in the Raimi movies, like with the symbiote suit, and
we mentioned in The Fly.
And in The Fly. So yeah, it works on that level too.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of in a new place in life and he has a new costume.
Yeah.
And I thought the branding was too strong. They were too like married to the Stark suit. It literally feels like they listened to us on this movie.
Yeah.
Like they really like, not even like, well, of course, RNS podcast specifically, we have a lot of pull in Hollywood.
Yeah, we do.
But like I feel like they listened to fans that weren't jiving with MCU Spider-Man so much.
I agree.
Like it's like Sony let Disney come in, workshop it, make it successful again, and then they're even taking it further and listening to the fans as well. Yeah. I appreciate the fuck out of that.
So yeah. Never thought I'd enjoy an MCU Spider-Man movie this much, but I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was awesome.
Good movie.
Yeah. So we get Tobey Maguire, get Andrew Garfield, and on top of it, we get real Spider-Man
and you
development for So.
Well, golly.
Yeah, didn't see that part coming, which was awesome. Which is almost the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
As much as it's amazing to see Tobey and Andrew.
The last literally, you have this dude make a choice in a real Spider-Man outfit and like another real choice, kind of.
Yeah.
With the Doctor Strange part and. Yeah.
So yeah, that's Spider-Man No Way Home.
It almost I just want to say real quick.
Oh yeah, I have something else to say too.
Well, I know you do have one more thing, right? But it's very encouraging that once the training wheels came off, the movie got better.
Yeah.
Not better, but better.
Yeah, I agree.
Better in like an emotional story kind of way. Like it's amazing to me that once it was just like, okay, here's like some small scenes with the MCU.
Yeah.
The MCU Spider-Man cast.
Yes.
It was just still great. So, please make a movie that's exactly like the last 10 minutes.
Yes, I agree.
Please.
So this kind of gets into what I was going to say earlier about why I feel like I shouldn't say maybe not age well, but it won't hit the same on multiple rewatches. Because the Tobey and Andrew thing, of course, it's amazing to see them again, but a lot of what's going on with them is novel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of weight behind it. It's fan service. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun.
I would say the Andrew saving MJ and like we were saying about Tobey stopping the glider, those go a bit beyond fan service.
Yeah, I agree. But that is good.
Even then,
but the riffing and stuff that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is it lasts at least a decent portion of the movie. So, I don't know, just some of the interactions and just the villain thing. Even the interaction between the villains and all of that, the Easter eggs to the older movies, a lot of it's very novel. So, eventually I think that effect is going to wear off. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It's
and that's why I say, the ending of the movie is kind of almost the best part.
Yeah.
Because it's its own thing.
That actually has its own, lasting staying power.
Yes.
Where there's let's say they come out with TASM 3 or Spider-Man 4, this movie's gonna look a lot worse.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, or if let's say they come in Secret Wars, which I think there's a good chance they would fuck it up.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a good chance they would fuck it up.
I don't really know if I do want them to come back unless it's for their own sequels.
Yeah, because I think all they're gonna do is just be like, oh wow, the Hulk is big and green.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, me either. I was happy that they didn't interact with any other MCU hero whatsoever.
They barely even stood next to Doctor Strange.
Yeah. There was the Doctor Strange thing, but they talked to him only briefly.
Yeah. Spider-Man, Tobey should have said, "Oh, in my universe, you're homeless. You used to be a children's entertainer."
Yeah, because there is a Doctor Strange in Raimi's universe confirmed. We just don't know what he is. But anyways, yeah, that's Spider-Man No Way Home. Good movie. I enjoyed it.
One last thing I wanted to mention is it. Even though I want it, the next movie, if they just do a villain origin, it'll feel very weird. Like if they just say like, let's say the main character is Kraven, the main villain, and they just have like, oh, here's Kraven's origin, here's him fighting Spider-Man. Because this movie is so self-referential about like, oh, I fell in a vat too. Like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Yeah. Like I'm Spider-Man's teacher. It'll just. I feel like it'll discourage them from doing that because they were so self-referential about this. But please do it.
Yeah, I want like.
Please do it anyway.
A grounded Spider-Man story. That's the way to go off from this. Yeah. Don't try and go bigger. Please don't.
No. Yeah. Wait. I'm telling you, wait. Do Spider-Man 6. Do that Sinister 6.
Yeah.
Do the Sinister 6 in that movie and just call it Spider-Man 6.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And I literally think it would be cool if the next movie they just call it Spectacular Spider-Man.
That would be cool.
Drop the gimmick.
I agree.
Drop the gimmick, and it's also kind of a reference to Andrew, and it's also kind of a reference to like he's Spider-Man now.
Yeah,
like,
and also on the Sinister Six thing. Well, this universe already has a Vulture and a Mysterio, so build up a couple more villains in the next 2 movies.
Yes.
And, you know, so it doesn't have to be a multiversal Sinister Six. It's his own world
Sinister Six.
Yes, and then that's when you bring back Vulture, bring back Mysterio. Maybe do something with the Scorpion from this world.
And you have Tinker.
And yeah, you have Tinker. Yeah, I guess you can use them.
Tinker.
One of them is probably going to have 2 villains, so we know they're not going to have only one villain for both of those movies.
Yeah.
And
I mean, but how
they're probably going to do Kraven, and Kraven's part of the Sinister Six, so
yeah,
they're going to be able to use him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
MCU Spider-Man, epic.
No. Oh yeah, and John Watts, I assume, is not going to be directing anymore. So,
which is interesting.
Bring in someone good. Sony, give them creative freedom.
What would you do if Sam Raimi directed? What would you do?
I don't really want that.
Would you scream and cry?
I mean, it'd be cool, but it's like, if he's gonna come back, Spider-Man I want it for 4. Toby. Yeah, I don't want him doing another Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing they're gonna. I guess I don't know.
But John Watson's doing Fantastic Four now.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Right. Yeah.
And that's solely MCU, so it feels like, as far as John Watts go,
it's not theirs.
Yeah, he's Marvel. It's not Sony's.
He was Disney's.
Yeah. Which is something we suspected from the beginning, anyways. So yeah.
Fucking. Well, yeah. He's not Disney's or Marvel's. He's Kevin Feige's.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's Kevin Feige's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for generally the future of the Spider-Man movies.
I agree, and my computer's about to die, so. And the episode's almost 3 hours, so we kind of got it.
Yeah, we wrapping it up. So thank you for listening. We didn't do any call to action, so if you enjoyed this episode, you listened to the whole thing, please leave a like. If you want to talk about your thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home, if you caught anything we missed, let us know and subscribe, ring the bell. Yeah, freaking appreciate your support.
We do. And Dad, cool Dylan fact.
Oh God.
This week, no cool Dylan fact because we gotta go. My computer's literally about to die. Thank you for listening.
No, cool Dylan fact. My favorite animal is a penguin. Nailed it.
There you go. Bye, guys.